My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. All right, 320 North Euclid Avenue, monitoring with the Ontario International Airport, 7WOG 611 at 7 a.m., which is not published on the Ontario International website because the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking, 8GTZ 597, and they're not flying over the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. They're flying over the Ontario Town Square, the senior citizen complex at 7 o'clock in the morning with the amplified audible. This is P.O.C. D650E1 8XQN429. A demon sitting in the parking garage, making sure they're maintaining. This is psychopathic conduct. This is a psychopath. License 8XQC974. Let me show you a picture of mental illness. This is somebody that needs to be diagnosed. Certifiable conduct. Sitting in the parking garage, stalking. Aiming light. Mental illness. 101. 8XQC974. I don't know. ¿Qué pasó? License 8AMU575. And the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct while stalking with the government. Remember, they're providing criminal conduct. They're engaging in elements monitoring together. 9UDV264. And that's a psychopath. That's, what happened? When you listen to that audible activity, this is what you're going to diagnose them with. 70GG447. Excuse me?
Why are you taking pictures of my car?
Are you going to do a search on my phone?
No,
Why are you assuming that I'm focused on you?
Well, you were like this on my phone.
Because I'm doing like this now.
And then I hear over here you're saying my license plate.
What's your point?
Well, I'm asking.
Is it a secret what your license plate is?
I don't know. I'm asking.
You don't know if it's a secret?
What's the issue? What's the issue?
What do you mean, what is the issue?
I don't know what's the issue. Why are you...
Did you do something wrong?
I didn't do
You don't
something
know?
wrong. No, that's why. What?
Okay, then get in your car and mind your business.
What?
Okay, then get in your car and mind your business. Stop getting in my face before you get a bigger problem. License 7DGG447. That's a psychopath. 8KJJ221, and this is why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. 28285U3. That's exactly why. When they want to engage in physical violence because they're hostile, and you're stalking, and this is a problem that no American citizen should be subject to. RGA3AL. Getting out of your car. Oh, what's wrong? You're stalking. You want to sit around and act like it's not happening. I'm documenting you. And the entity, everything that they're saying is ongoing monitoring. And a psychopath, what's wrong? This is a demon. That's a demon. License 3EZP356, 6ZWL544. That appears to be perhaps an Asian male, maybe Filipino, and he has a cock eye. One of his eyes are lowered. 9HMW680. D650E1. 8XQN429, 9SZX882, 8VCC907. That's a security guard's vehicle. 9SUW095, and this is criminal conduct that the City of Ontario is engaging in. Heart 4JOKLI, and nobody has any issues with the entity stalking by commercial planes where it has no business flying over here, making that level of disturbance. All right, but noticing me walking in, holding up my phone or not. When you're paying so much attention to somebody, that's when you're focusing on that. All right, you're supposedly in your vehicle, minding your business, sitting in there aiming light, not focused on somebody else. And me holding up a phone is not enough information for you to be assuming that it's about you. Okay, this demon already knows that he's being documented. He didn't hear me saying his license plate. They don't have to hear anything. They're monitoring your mindset, your thoughts. That's how they engage in the pattern of conduct, in the method that you are thinking about. These are demons. You're going to diagnose with that conduct. These are the demons that conspire your murder. That's criminal conduct. That's harassment. All right? Upon what is harassment by the government, stalking you in planes, and you're sitting around like a psychopath, obsessed with my vagina, lurking in the dark, aiming light toward me while you're monitoring. License 9MEG736, the same mental illness accompanying vehicle. P.O.C. And this demon also, not within earshot, knows exactly what was said. These are psychopaths. MANA, ADHC, CBAS, POC. That's a pattern of conduct, and that's a commercial actor engaging in criminal monitoring, flying over the Ontario 280 North Limit Apartments where the old people live. That's the apartment complex that the Ontario International Airport at 7 o'clock in the morning is hovering over. That's POC. It is currently, again, 7:04 a.m. and the entity engages in this criminal conduct. In other words, they start it, and then they're terrified when you're documenting because you're going to be prosecuted. But you like monitoring my vagina, though. And then you want to engage in harassment. And it is harassment to ask me stupid questions when you know exactly what you're doing. So do the feds. And the feds are also watching you harass me, asking me stupid questions. That's going to have you winding up in a straitjacket. That's literally how that's going to result. You're going to wind up in a straitjacket. It's currently 7:05 a.m. That's POC, and that's the Ontario International. That's Alan D. Wapner's criminal conduct and the ongoing harassment while I prosecute Alan D. Wapner, while his co-defendants are acting in concert with his criminal conduct, surveillance using commercial planes over this venue. All right, it's currently 7:05 a.m. on Thursday, August 14, 2025, dealing with the mentally ill who are sitting around at the Ontario Town Square where the fake sun remains until the evening, asking me questions that they know the answer to. These demons, these stalkers, know that they're being documented. And you want to get up and ask me questions, I'm going to document that, and the entity's going to be prosecuted for that. This is POC. It's 7:06 a.m. All right, it's 8:31 a.m. That's ongoing criminal summoning. Part of the reason for the prosecution of the state is exposing the consumption, the ongoing commitment and investment in criminal activity, criminal surveillance, as opposed to actually engaging in the business of the people, engaging in what is like law enforcement, engaging in what is putting out fires and responding to emergencies that are not related to gang stalking the target individual. These demons are just driving around, pacing in the engineered environment, stalking me, sounding sirens as they're keeping my internet activity under surveillance. And that's speaking to, again, millions of dollars that's wasted by the government in California on criminal activity. And that just needs to be put out. And a lot of the problems that are purportedly caused by the lack of monetary resources is an outright lie by the governor, this minion, Newsom, and every demon underneath his corrupt and dangerous leadership. Gang-stalking mayors are wasting millions of dollars on criminal surveillance. That's exactly what the city of Ontario is engaging in now. All right, criminal summoning, with regard to what I'm looking up on the internet, and I will give context. The entity is engaging in criminal summoning also this morning at what is 8:12 a.m. Michael GERKEN. This is the Ontario Fire Department, and I take images of what is crossing path light activity, audible activity, while demons are using a fire truck to engage in the demonic system of gang stalking, monitoring internet. Criminal surveillance is what the Ontario Fire Department, Michael GERKEN, is engaging in. And the entity is doing so at 8:12 a.m. as I am on the venue of the internet pertaining to arranging my YouTube channel and putting a more precise title to encapsulate the purpose of a particular playlist concerning gang stalking at Walmart, which you need to know Walmart's engaged in monitoring American citizens and are exceedingly hostile, which I want to be clear. You can fill in the blank with any business name that you know because it's a demonic spirit. And that demonic spirit is merely operating under the name of a company that you identify with, that you are a patron of, okay, that you receive services from. And that same demonic spirit is speaking to the same level of hostility and aggression toward anything that would expose this public corruption and would enforce your constitutional human rights. Okay, so that same hostility by Starbucks, that same hostility by Aveneth Capital Management, that same hostility by Speaker Companies Incorporated, okay, that same hostility by Amazon Prime, that same hostility by United Airlines, where it is demonic and it's under the guise of the logo that you're looking at. That is a commercial means of gang stalking you, where in the United States, some criminal monitoring, surveillance is occurring under the guise of what is, well, it's not a guise, because they are actually businesses that are making money. These businesses that are making money are engaging in surveillance. And this is public corruption. And this is the way that the country operates. We are under surveillance in this country, and the businesses that are making money off of American citizens are engaging in surveillance. Okay, so I want to document that. That's what's relevant at 8:12. And again, right now, at approximately 8:32 a.m., the entity is sounding sirens as I am researching Canon Management, which is a property management company, a third party, a gang stalking company, for which Tracy Banks, this pedophile, this serial killer, this psychopath that is gang stalking me, her daughter, her family member, and she has no regard whatsoever, because I'm not dealing with a human being. I'm not dealing with a mother. I'm not dealing with a normal person or a sane person. I'm dealing with a demonic spirit. I'm dealing with Satan, and that is using Tracy Banks, and that's not a defense for her in federal court. Tracy Banks acts of her own volition. She engages in heavy-duty malicious plotting. Even though it's not intelligent, but she is fully engaged in what is plotting out the things that she engages in. And of course, I've exposed the entity that she is plotting against me with, conspiring against me with. Okay, it's state action. And so as I'm researching Canon Management regarding the apartment complex where I resided with her in San Bernardino, California, and I'm recalling a minor child that Tracy Banks, unbeknownst to her at that time, was admittedly exposing to me pedophilia that is underway at this apartment complex, where a minor child contracted herpes. And of course, this minor child is getting this from an adult that's infected with that. And Tracy Banks is a psychopath. She's also a pedophile. And she found it funny. She found it entertaining, the way in which she relayed the information to me. And at the time, again, I am not at that time documenting. I am not fully apprised of. I know that my mother is imperfect, but I do not know. I want to be clear. I do know subconsciously. I am engaged in all manner of discerning things spiritually, but I have yet at this point in time connected the dots and looked directly at what is a predator. I had not made that direct connection yet at this point in time. When she is, as I am recalling, smirking on her face, finding it entertaining, reporting to me as matter of factly what she found to be, and I know this woman, so the way in which she's even telling me about something that would have caused tears to come to my eyes, a minor child contracting herpes, which you're getting from, you don't get that. Little kids are getting that from adults that are violating them. And she found it funny, entertaining in the way she told me about it. And also, she's a psychopath, and she's a witch, and she's engaging in what is trying to siphon energy from me, and aware of the fact that that's going to affect me negatively. And that's also her psychopathic and demented purpose in even telling me that in the manner that she's telling me, and she finds it entertaining, while then she sits up and monitors me as I sit and basically I sat down and thought about it for a while, and I also thought about the way in which Tracy Banks told me about this minor child in the apartment complex where she is an employee at the time, and a minor child had contracted herpes. These are pedophiles that are gang stalking, and I was being gang stalked at this apartment complex where Tracy Banks was working for this third-party company. And this is also before I moved to Upland, California. Now, Upland, California is where I started documenting. I'm realizing gang stalking, and I'm realizing Tracy Banks directly engaging in gang stalking, and this is immediate when Tracy Banks engages in the P.O.C. criminal summoning, criminal defamation, and engaging in physical violence against me as well. And that's where you'll see in May of 2018 where I am calling the Upland Police Department, who are engaged in criminal summoning. This is how American citizens are murdered, by the entity that's gang stalking. And I am summoning the police in order to enforce my rights against Tracy Banks. Now, again, I am clearly not a paranoid schizophrenic, because if I was, I would have been accusing the police at that time for stalking me and for monitoring me and following me around. And I didn't do that. I had suspicions. I started documenting, but I did not act on my suspicions. I kept note, though, of everything, and I was observing everything. And including when I summoned the Upland Police in May of 2018, I was documenting then, because I know as a prosecutor, you do not prosecute with your suspicions. You can't prosecute with your gut instinct. You prosecute with facts and information, evidence. And so I am documenting. And what I documented in May of 2018, even unbeknownst to me, inside of that apartment, before I created the title so that everybody knows what I'm talking about, Directed Light. Directed Light was inside of my apartment, where Officer Nakamura, a gang-stalking police officer who's subject to federal prison, engaging in criminal summoning while I call him to my apartment, and that's a threat to my life. American citizens in this country die every day because they don't know that they're calling Satan to their apartment and thinking that Satan is going to protect you. Satan is there looking for an opportunity to harm you. And then the corrupt courts uphold that unlawful act against you. Because corrupt law enforcement agencies that are engaging in surveillance are not engaged in law enforcement. They are here to maintain criminal surveillance, and they are here to make sure that that system remains in place. And that is a threat to the lives of American citizens. Okay, so in San Bernardino, California, this is before I moved. When I moved to Upland, it was in my apartment. Tracy Banks this is what I was told, at least. Tracy Banks, these are liars, and so the entity, I'm gainfully employed. This is all in direct contravention to everything that the entity is criminally defaming my character about. And this is what they will conveniently remove out of court hearings that I'm not a part of, regarding property that was never disclosed to me, money that was never disclosed to me, while they're defaming my character, while gang stalking me and using their gang stalking methods as a means to defame me in secret court hearings, okay, with regard to trying to steal my property. And gang stalking is supposed to accomplish murder so that they get away with stealing my property, and you never know anything about it, okay? But this is Tracy Banks is relieved from her job. She's fired. And I'm also helping her with regard to filing a case against this employer, which in many occasions I wrote all of her letters to HR. These are things that she's not speaking about at all, while she wants to falsely depict my character as being somebody that's incompetent. Okay, and she can't even spell incompetence, nor define it. Okay, she just knows that it's something that's trying to state that somebody's crazy. Okay, this is a high school graduate who is a Jezebel spirit. She's a whore, and she relies on her sexual activity to gain partners in targeting me. Okay, so this third party, Tracy Banks, is relieved from her job at Canon Management, and I lovingly am volunteering to take care of my mother. Of course I am. I have plenty of money. I make plenty of money working in Orange County for mobility. And I am being gang stalked as I'm driving from San Bernardino to Orange County every day. But of course, I'm not aware of this yet. I notice a lot of things, but I'm not documenting. I'm not aware specifically that I'm being targeted by the state and every single last person around me. I'm not aware of that to that degree. So I am gainfully employed, and I trust my mother that I don't think is trying to murder me and gang stalk me and exploit me on the internet, and is praying to Satan about my vagina, that she wants to try to, this satanic thing with regard to wanting her vagina to be like mine, because she's had 2 kids. Lord knows, actually, I don't know how many children this woman has had, but she's had at least
2 children, and she engages in witchcraft so that her vagina is, and this is again just revealing the mental illness of the entity. So this is a warning with regard to 18 plus, and I will mark this episode regarding what is adult content. But again, what the demon possessed are doing is something that you should not keep your children out of. This is not graphic conduct, and this is not graphic material that's there to corrupt, that's there to blind you and put you on a path of darkness so that you engage in promiscuity and, in other words, serving Satan and become distracted in your life. This is so that you're not ignorant. And you need to know the level of perversion that is out there, because it wants to present as being healthy and sane and normal, not interested in pedophilia, not interested in stalking strangers, not a demon-possessed gang stalker relying on witchcraft to steal your husband, to molest your children, to take your job, to take your identity, to steal your property and money, whatever it is that these demons want. It wants to present as sane while it's targeting you. Okay, and Tracy Banks is someone that I'm not suspecting. And why would you, as a sane person that's not going to go around just accusing your family? Unless and until you have evidence of it. And that's exactly what Tracy Banks was subject to as of 2018. And since then, she has been engaged in an ongoing campaign, and it is an unsuccessful campaign. And the only reason why it took any traction is because this entity is targeting me along with Tracy Banks. Because it never had any logic behind it. There is no history supporting it, and it is based on the criminal activity of the entity. Okay, but at the outset, Tracy Banks is, I'm trusting her. I'm going to work, making money, and I'm giving her the money. You go find the apartment where I live. I trust my mom, okay? So, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to trust you to go find an apartment where we can live together, because she was fired. And I want to be clear, this is a means whereby she doesn't want me to move out of my apartment, because that's exactly what I'm in a position to do. While I love my mother, I'm going to go out and live my own life, okay? And in order to do that, this is a demon that's stalking, monitoring, and losing her job and getting an apartment with me where I'm paying the rent and I'm paying all her bills was a means of her latching onto me and staying attached to me, which again, at that time, I'm not aware of, but I'm also not taking issue with it, because I'm not thinking that this is somebody that's conspiring my death ultimately, because she knows about money and an inheritance that I'm ignorant about, and that she never intended for me to ever separate from her while she is stalking me day and night like a psychopath. Okay, this entity is engaging and targeting me the entire time. So we moved to Upland from San Bernardino, and this is when I am aware of the fact that this is, first of all, Tracy Banks is a demon. She's not a normal person, and she's a pedophile. And then things that she has told me out of her mouth, and she's not mindful of the fact, she doesn't have foresight, which demons don't, about things that she has already confessed to me, and she's not cognizant of the depths of the confession that she made. This is a pedophile. She's been engaged in grooming me as a child, and she is telling me about a child in this apartment complex where she's an employee, and gang stalking is underway in San Bernardino at this apartment complex as well. These are pedophiles, and this minor child that she's telling me about was violated by an adult that has herpes, and this child is showing symptoms of it, and Tracy Banks told me about it. She told me about it, and this is in 2017. 2016, which is then when we moved to, this is 2016, 2017. In 2017 is when we moved to Upland, California, and I moved out in 2018 away from her, and documenting the pattern of conduct, okay? Because when I relocated from Upland, California, and I realized that it is a real thing, it's not just a bunch of weirdos that are just maybe in Upland, California, and I'm recognizing a hardcore pattern, and I am continuously documenting, and I am diligently documenting, and this is how you have the pattern of conduct as a matter of evidence from 2018 to the present. Now, I am moving from San Bernardino because Tracy Banks claimed to be released from her job, and this was a tactic for her to stay latched to me. Now remember what she's doing while she's defaming me with the government that's targeting me with her. Stealing property, this is state action, targeting an American citizen in furtherance of a conspiracy to murder them in order to steal their money, inheritance, property that American citizens may not even know that they are entitled to. And the government targets you because they know about it, and you don't. And you're dead before you learn about it. Right? So the entity is targeting me, and this is what she's not including in the defamatory. This is what Tracy Banks, Eric Corey Spencer, Anthony Jawan Kennedy, Shanita Ramaya McLean, Jason Isaac Fields, what is his name? Kenneth Anderson, these Anthony Williams, these demons that are, again, formerly in my social circle, these fake friends that are gang stalking demons that surrounded me, that I formerly associated with, that I abruptly cut off upon realizing that they're targeting me. I'm targeting me with Tracy Banks because they suddenly have some friendship with her. I never even introduced Shanita Remind McLean. I've known her since second grade. Okay, but still the level of relationship with Tracy Banks is a secret. Okay, I don't give my mother's phone number to Shanita. I don't talk to her mother, Tonda Williams, a gang stalker, a documented gang stalker. She's documented in the People of the State of California, third parties in the folder. She's gang stalking me in 2024. So everybody that was targeting me, because I know a lot of people, but everybody that was targeting me as of 2024, you were in my presence. You were targeting me with Tracy Banks while the entity is stalking me and resuming helicopter activity, threatening my life at that level. I documented every single last one of them. You'll see their names in the folder of the People of the State. They were acting pursuant to the pattern of conduct, resuming that high level of threatening my life and engaging in psychological torture in furtherance of murdering me. And they're hanging out with me as fake friends in furtherance of that. And they're all aware of the fact that there is money and property that they are together targeting me with in order to steal it from me. And they are acting in furtherance of that ongoing criminal conspiracy to commit murder as an entity. And they are doing so with Tracy Banks. And they are maintaining a level of friendship and closeness that is totally unannounced to me. Like Jason Isaac Fields' sexual relationship with my mother. Totally. I know nothing about it. I know nothing about his interest in having anal sex with men. He didn't tell me about that. I know nothing about his interest in his long-term sexual relationship with my mother, including while I was living in San Bernardino. And he's hanging out with me, talking to me on the phone. Now, hanging out, I want to be clear, we never dated. This is somebody that is absolutely irrelevant. This is somebody that is latching onto me through his sexual relationship with Tracy Banks and through witchcraft. This is a demon who is still spiritually attacking. He is going to be subject to federal law that's going to keep him away from. He is mentally ill. He is a psychopath, and he is also engaged in a sexual relationship with a pedophile, Tracy Banks, with a serial killer, Tracy Banks, and he is fully apprised of that criminal conduct. He is complicit to it. Okay, this is somebody that is going to be barred under federal law from ever coming around me. This is somebody, however, that is, again, that same level of secrecy regarding everybody's secret relationship, this closeness with Tracy Banks. And I'm not the type of person, and I never was, to hang out with my mom and my friends. We're not in the same age group. We are not of the same generation. You're not on my level. We are not alike at all. No matter how much Tracy Banks wants to be me. She wants, warning, she wants her vagina to emulate mine. She's had children. She's had much more sex partners. Okay, she's promiscuous. I am the total opposite. Okay, and she engages in witchcraft based on her obsession with me and her concern, her knowledge about the status of my vagina. That's how much of a sex offender she is. That's how much of a sex offender the demon possessed are. Okay, that's how intimately acquainted they are with your anatomy, your body. Okay, so these are the things that Tracy Banks is engaging in. And while I'm researching canon management and these demons are monitoring me, criminal summoning with regard to the city of Ontario that's engaging in surveillance, nothing but stalking. Traffic is surveillance, and you know that. You saw yesterday the entity gang stalking in the morning at Ontario Town Square, which is on Euclid Avenue under the fake sun, 9 in the morning. You saw on the same street, Euclid Avenue, the fake sun after 6 p.m., and the entity is stalking by helicopter. All they're engaging in is stalking. While you hear amplified motorcycle activity, it's because the demons are monitoring, and the demons are very much hostile and embarrassed. The psychopaths have the audacity to be embarrassed of their sexual violence against another person, but you're engaging in it. The amplified audible activity is not only monitoring, it's a failed endeavor to try to cover up what it is that I'm stating. When you hear the activity getting louder around me, it's because of what it is that I'm telling you, and they know that I'm telling you, and they're embarrassed by it. They want to keep their pedophilia a secret. They want to keep their obsession with me a secret. They want to keep their criminal surveillance system a secret, and it's not. Okay? And this is what Tracy Banks is engaging in. And she made an admission. Ongoing pedophilia against a minor child at an apartment complex. I'm going to get the details of this property where pedophilia is underway, and you know that because I'm letting you know this gang stalking is underway. This Jezebel spirit focuses on sexual perversion and specifically children. Specifically children. Satan has human beings deceived with regard to their engagement in nothing other than what is evil, nothing other than what is perverted. And when you are complicit, when you are agreeing with Satan and you are engaging in such acts, which particularly this Jezebel spirit wants to focus in on sexually violating children and inflicting that level of trauma to children, which is then again repeated, while those children are more often than not repeating the same violence against others, thinking that everybody is of that same level of evil. Nobody helped them, and so they're not going to help anyone else, and they're going to do the same thing that was done to them. And this is how you maintain an ongoing generational curse with regard to that demonic spirit. You are very much passing along demonic spirits through sexual activity, and the demon possessed that are gang stalking. This specific system is relevant to that perverted demonic spirit. They violate children. I cannot focus on that enough. That is very specific, and I'm letting that specific amount of information be known because it is relevant to sex trafficking children, sex porn with children, molestation of children, okay? Violating them in particular because these demons are their specific mode of deception. Satan has them violating children in particular. With regard to this deception of gaining more spiritual power, and it's not. These demonic spirits are using people to violate children, which is the focal point of Satan, that wants to traumatize and violate as young as they can in order to gain as many people in darkness. A lot of times when this is happening, you have people that have a chip on their shoulder, and I'm not even criticizing because you're human beings, and I can understand the pain, but it has nothing to do with Christ Jesus. This is what Satan does. He attacks people, and he wants to attack you and then have you bitter and angry and even blaming God for it. And God is the solution to what wicked people are doing. This is what Satan does. And it's not the Lord Jesus' fault, nor did he want it to happen to you. This is evil that is prevalent here on earth. And he's coming back and he's judging it. But he is also very much perturbed by it. He's exposing it, okay? But a lot of times you have this level of violation and people grow up into adults who are bitter, who are angry, and they even blame God. And they're also confused. They don't understand why God would allow it to happen. There is a lot of wicked things that people decide to do. In the same way that you, who are questioning God about why, if God is real and he is the Lord Messiah and I should submit to him, then why did he allow me to catch the herpes virus as a child when my parents and my the manager in that apartment complex violated me? Why did God allow that if God is real? If he's Jesus Christ and he's the Messiah and he's on the throne of all of that, when the reality is, in the same way that you have a decision to make as to whether you want to submit to Christ Jesus and put your faith in him and believe that he is the true and living God that walked this earth having never committed any sin, and that God, both fully God and fully man, died on the cross and rose from the dead. No man has ever done that. You make a decision, though, whether you want to put your faith in that or not. And it's the truth. And it does not cease to be the truth because you didn't refuse to accept that and accept that free gift of salvation. You have a gift that you can walk away from or you can accept it. And it is the very salvation of your soul. You have a choice in making that decision or not. The wicked make a decision every day. They make a decision to molest children. They make a decision to sit around in a parking lot stalking like a psychopath, aiming light at somebody that they don't even know, while the demons are using them to engage in that demented, sick behavior, which is going to be used to diagnose them. They're making decisions. They're choices. That's why that happens. And it is something that is designed to. It is intended to deter you from ever coming to Christ, who loves you and who is able to heal that deeply embedded wound that creates psychological harm. Socially, you're dysfunctional. It affects how you relate sexually to other people. I mean, and that's by design. That's why Satan does it, okay? The entities engaging in this, and understand Satan is a spirit who uses people. All right, so that's, again, getting to the psychological purpose behind engaging in violence against children. And they're perverts, and that's a demonic spirit. And gang stalking in particular, the gang stalkers are engaged in pedophilia. That is literally a system that they're maintaining, and it is relevant to that specific demonic spirit. That is using the people that are engaged in an identical pattern of conduct. And this is relevant to the pedophiles that were gang stalking at this apartment complex. Canon Management is the third-party employer that Tracy Banks is working for in San Bernardino, and this is where I'm being targeted, and a minor child is who Tracy Banks is telling me is being violated by the gang stalkers at that apartment complex, including, it very well is Tracy Banks that engaged in violating this minor child. But nonetheless, these are pedophiles because you know who is surrounding me. I've already shown you the pattern of conduct, and I've already shown you what the entity, first of all, their sexually violent pattern of conduct, they're sex offenders, and you also need to know in particular, they are interested in not those over the age of majority that can consent, nor are you ever consenting to sexual violence committed against you without your will and outside of the bounds of the law. They're particularly interested in minor children, innocent children. Okay, you're not gaining any spiritual authority. You are serving Satan that engages in what is working with them in trying to violate other people, summoning demonic spirits, and the demon-possessed are deceived in thinking that they become more spiritually powerful. No, they're not, and that's why they're witnessing the exposure. That's what they did. That's what they tried to do to me. Molesting children, engaging in sex rituals with children, violating children, and then thinking that those demonic spirits are they're going to overpower. No, they're not. These are the dead are very much deceived. Satan is using them to sexually violate children in order to maintain ongoing spiritual darkness amongst as many people as possible, to drag as many people to hell as possible, to put it very succinctly and plainly, okay? It's a level of deception. Satan does nothing other than make sex offenders out of people. He makes murderers out of people. He makes stalkers and psychopaths out of people. And in their mind, they have a rationale for why they do what they do. Oh, we have to engage in this sex ritual. We have to violate these children because when we do that, then we get this sort of authority, and then we can use this spiritual authority to violate this person and overwhelm this person over here. That is a level of deception. Okay, but these are dead people. This is, again, relevant to the practice of witchcraft. This is relevant to what the gang stalkers are doing, and this is pedophilia that's underway. And Tracy Banks is telling me about this, and I also want to note what it is that not only what she's telling me, and this is, she is a gang stalker, she's a pedophile, she's a sex offender, she's a psychopath, and she's telling me about her co-defendants in this apartment complex that are engaging in violating a minor child who is contracting herpes from an adult that's violating her. And Tracy Banks found it entertaining. She found it funny. She had a smirk on her face. And she also did that in order to then spiritually attack me, knowing that that was something that would deeply bother me. And I was also bothered by the way she told me the information. But this is a demon that's spiritually attacking me with that information, so that's even why she did that. But in hindsight, I'm going to convey this information as a matter of documentation, and it's relevant to what the City of Ontario is doing today in 2025, monitoring me, monitoring my internet activity with regard to what they very well know I'm researching online, and it's all going toward evidence to prosecute the entity. It's currently 8:59 a.m. This is the entity that's going to be removed from the positions that they hold. The City of Ontario is entirely incompetent, fully devoted and invested and committed to criminal activity, as opposed to what a municipality is supposed to be engaged in, spending money and time on. And this is going to bring a lot of solutions to the problems that are inherent to running a city, running a county, running a state. And this is throughout the state of California, where the governor and the mayors are trying to prostitute the system, gaining money through gang stalking immigrants and programs while they're engaging in this criminal activity. And they're doing so in real time. Those demons are sounding sirens while they're driving by and stopping the sirens. They're stalking, as I've shown you on video time and time again, at the intersection of Euclid and Holt, stalking around, flying around, going around the corner. Michael Gerken's office, where he's going to be relieved. The Ontario Fire Department is right here at B Street, where the fake sun is rising and setting. The same thing with the mayor's office, the Ontario City Hall, where the entity is keeping a fake sun rising and setting. And the expenditures, the criminal and irresponsible use of expenditures for this criminal surveillance system is also a primary basis for removing all of the domestic terrorists that are in position. And by the way, I have specifically documented every single corrupt leader. They're being removed, and the Ontario Police is being disbanded. It is currently 9 a.m. That's relevant context regarding the entity that engages in criminal summoning, while they listen to me give ongoing context about everything that they were monitoring and the details pertaining to their monitoring of, in violation of Title 18, by the way, federal stalking. And the entity engages in it to its own demise. So while they listen to me give you all that information that they didn't want put on the internet, then they engage in criminal summoning again. Those are the demons that engage in stalking me on one street under a fake sun by helicopter to their own demise. Okay, and then you can all go through, because you all know, because I've said their names so many times, about who's going to federal prison with the Ontario Police Department. It's currently 9:01 a.m. This is P.O.C. relevant to federal stalking that is committed by the City of Ontario that's engaging in state surveillance, using the emergency vehicles, using the resources of the local government. The emergency vehicles are a means of engaging in surveillance while internet activity is being kept under surveillance in violation of the federal stalking statute. The government has no legitimate interest and no authority to engage in that, and they're doing that in concert with the people of the state, walking around with their cell phones, knowing what I'm doing on my communication devices, keeping me under surveillance, and also gang stalking me, including into bathrooms. It's currently 9:01 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, just additional context, and this is relevant to all the evidence that is not discussed pertaining to the entity that is criminally defaming my character, trying to falsely depict me. And I want to be clear, these demons, these fake friends that engaged in any perjury, trying to falsely depict me as somebody that is incapable in any regard of taking care of myself and being anything less than extraordinarily responsible and diligent with regard to my career prospects and the things that I've accomplished. It's laughable to me what these demons could possibly be stating in court. But they're doing so with regard to targeting and furtherance of murder, because they had a stake in getting my money and sharing in my property while they're engaging in it. So they are acting in furtherance of the conspiracy to commit murder as an entity, because that's why the city of Ontario is gang stalking, to commit a sacrifice, to commit a murder. Okay, they're trying to steal for keeps. Okay, while the entity that you hear stalking with sirens, they're engaged in an ongoing mission. And this is what the entity is going to regret. This is how foolish the demon-possessed are. But nonetheless, the entity is engaging in targeting me, and they're doing so even while they're bearing false witness about me in court. And they're not telling me that anybody told them to go to court. They're not talking about, hey, Erica, do you know why someone's asking me to go to court and talk about you? And do you know anything about, property that they're gonna be asking me questions, I'm being subpoenaed? Nobody mentioned anything. Nobody tells me that they're best friends with Tracy Banks. Nobody tells me that they're meeting up with her. Nobody tells me about sex rituals, that they've had sex with my mom. No, none of my fake friends are telling me any of that. So this is the nature of these demons who are sitting in court lying on my character, and every single last one of them. And they're gang stalkers and furtherance of murder committed as an entity. That is, they conspired to murder, fully intending on doing so, never uttering a word about it, and sought to walk away with a check. You're going to federal prison, okay? The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and the property where Tracy Banks lived at, this is the landing. So first of all, let me give that information. The landing is a Canon Management property. Canon Management is a third party. They were gang stalking me while I was with Tracy Banks studying for the bar. Upon relocating from Orange County after graduating from the law school there, I was attending while I was being targeted in Costa Mesa. By the way, Costa Mesa, California, which I went back to Costa Mesa to document the pattern of conduct, where the Orange County Sheriff's Department, where the Costa Mesa Police Department are gang stalking, and I was also being targeted in law school. Okay, the entity is engaging in this, and upon my relocation after attending Whittier Law School, which, by the way, it's relevant that Whittier Law School has since shut down. The entity knows they're targeting. The entity engages in a lot of that. Where I have worked for an employer, after I leave, that business shuts down. I went to a Whittier Law School. The shareholders, they just decided to shut down that law school. This is relevant to the entity that is targeting. And like a lot of this has to do with just trying to shut down, close off tracks after they've engaged in egregious criminal conduct against an American citizen against whom they intend to murder. Okay, and this is what I'm subject to gang stalking while in law school. This is again relevant to a College of Laverne, University of Laverne College of Law, an institution, not stating that Whittier Law School and Laverne are on the same level, but the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and you're gang stalking while at the same time you're an institution providing the studies of law by instructors, professors that are teaching the law, well learned in the law. You are engaging in professing the law to aspiring attorneys, officers of the court, while they are simultaneously engaging in this sex offense, gang stalking, a matter of public corruption. They want to take an oath and be a part of the California bar, where they're engaging in this very system. And that's how you're also understanding how this public corruption is perpetuated, okay? The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct nonetheless while I'm in law school, and upon relocating, again, the people of the state, because I didn't want to go right back to my mother's house, the entity's been targeting from the beginning. I'm not able, at the time it was Craigslist, I'm not able to get an apartment anywhere. Everyone that I'm calling, again, I'm not aware of the fact that I'm being gang stalked, and the people of the state know who I am, and they're already coming up with a narrative. They're putting one ad on Craigslist, but then when I call, they're telling me something different, and of course, it's the total opposite of what the demons know I'm looking for. So this is, again, preclusion with regard to an ability to get my own apartment, even a roommate situation, which is what I was trying to do, in order to study for the bar, take the bar, go on with my life. But the entity intentionally is engaging in what is cutting out. It's this entity that's gang stalking while on Craigslist, on the venue of the internet where surveillance is underway, okay? And communication devices, ongoing surveillance is underway. And this same entity engaging in what is denying an ability to lease an apartment where the people of the state are shutting down any option to me in particular. Okay, recognizing none of these are coincidences. And what is the purpose in that? To go right back to Tracy Banks, where the entity wants me, she wants me tethered to her. Okay, this does not create a codependent status. In fact, Tracy Banks is the codependent one. And Tracy Banks is conspiring against me while gang stalking me to create what is on the surface to appear as codependency. And I've never been codependent, ever, okay? The entity's engaging in this pattern of conduct with regard to, and this is what's going to be left out. The fact that nobody's talking about the fact that I went to law school, if I'm so mentally ill, but I'm moving to the opposite end of the country in another state by myself. Nobody paid for that. Nobody financed my college education. Nobody counseled me to do that. I went to law school on my own, transferred back to California on my own, living on my own, paying for my own, and nobody should have to engage in running down how you are a healthy adult capable of handling your own bills. This is ridiculous, and this is why the laws are going to change. Because you're looking at who is engaging in what is this conduct in the first place. A gang stalking, corrupt entity, a bunch of pedophiles that want to steal your property, manufacturing mental illness. And because of surveillance that is underway and this targeting system amongst unlawful surveillance, the laws are going to change. The government has no legitimate interest in conservatorship so that you can keep control of your own property. Because some demon wants to steal, because some corrupt government wants to steal your property under the exact same abuse of the laws that exist right now. This is going to change. Okay, and the entity that gang stalked me is the reason why. This is the comprehensive explanation regarding the unconstitutionally vague legislation that is providing for the violation of even celebrities. I want to be clear, this is what Britney Spears was subject to. Okay, and I'm not going to, go into her situation but Britney Spears, she needs to know that she was violated by the system. She was targeted by the system, and even her family, they're a part of this targeting system surveillance. The media capturing her in that specific manner to further depict her in that way because they had conspired to take her money. This is what Wendy Williams was subject to. People in her family, people close to her, this is what she was subject to, and it's a setup. And the entity is depicting you in that manner in order to steal your property. So she's surrounded by people that don't actually have any regard for her, and that's how she found herself in that situation. I just want to let you know with regard to whatever socioeconomic status that you're at. I am someone who is, I consider myself to be a normal person. I went to college and I went to law school, however, against all odds. Nobody around me did anything like that, and it's something that Christ Jesus led me to do. And I did that on my own. Nobody supported me in doing that. But come to find out, I have a whole inheritance. I have wealth that this same entity has been keeping from me and has been targeting me the entire time. And it's relevant context regarding the targeting that I have proven that I was subject to. And it is also evidence that is supporting what is necessitating that these laws that are currently in existence to be removed altogether. They are totally unconstitutional, and it's facilitating targeting by a corrupt government. Okay, the entity is engaging in this, and this is what is not going to be mentioned in these secret court hearings. The fact that the entity has gang stalked me in order to keep me in a situation financially that I would be remaining with Tracy Banks. This is happening after I left Whittier Law School, graduated, and began studying for the bar. But again, I'm not even looking at it as a means of, I'm literally just rolling with the punches. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I wasn't able to get an apartment, Mom, so I'm going to go stay with you. I need to study for the bar. I'm focused. I'm studying to take the bar, okay? So that's where I'm at. I'm still not at the point to where I know that this is diligent, ongoing targeting in order to maintain a specific circumstance, which is in conformity to a narrative that the entity is going to maintain in court. Where gang stalking fake friends, they are lying out of their face. They all know about how none of them went to college, and I was hanging out with people that I probably shouldn't have even been hanging out with, because none of them socially, none of them have the focus that I am. But I'm not that type of person that's going to look down on you just because you chose to have 2 kids by somebody that doesn't want to marry you and doesn't respect you. And I chose to go to college, and I would never shack up with a man that is openly demonstrating that he is not actually in love with you. He has no intention to commit to you. Okay, that I would never commit to somebody that's engaging in a lifestyle of criminal conduct. Now, these people, I don't want to be clear, because I want to be clear. I do not have specific knowledge about people that are living a lifestyle of criminal activity like that. No, but selling marijuana, unfortunately, this is relatively common. Okay, so I'm not looking at this as something that's, certainly I don't advocate criminal activity, but this is what I am surrounded by. Okay, so doing that on the side while you go to work and take care of your kids and your baby mama, your baby daddy, these demons that have these circumstances. And I stand out amongst this group of demons that sat around in a court where they're all envious of what it is that I've done in my life, and they do not compare whatsoever. That's what's relevant, what's so despicable and disgusting about these cowards that acted one way in front of my face when I have always been a loyal friend to them, and engaging in what is even trying to encourage them to do more in their lives while they're conspiring with this fake mother of mine, defaming my character, when none of them have gone beyond high school, if not taken a couple courses in a community college, if that. And this is not to compare because I'm not that person, but we're going to actually discuss the actual factual now, since you want to defame my character and make up information necessarily in doing so, because there is absolutely nothing that supports mental illness on my part or the inability to take care of myself. And this is relevant to what is not discussed in these fake court hearings pertaining to the entity that's conspiring to steal from me. I guarantee they're not talking about the fact that Tracy Banks moved into my apartment. I'm the one that put down the deposit in Upland, California for her to live with me in my apartment where I'm paying the rent, paying all of the bills and her bills, when she's claiming that she doesn't have any money after she was unlawfully released, which I'm also helping her with regard to a case through the state of California with regard to unlawful release from her job, based on the lies that she's telling me, however. So I'm fully supporting my mom. Oh, it's okay, Mom. You can submit a case against them through the state and I'm very passionate about that because I love her and I'm supporting her. I'm using the skills. This is why I went to law school and and I'm studying for the bar to help other people. Unbeknownst to me, this is Satan that is targeting me and just trying to be a distraction. Gets a kick out of me getting emotionally invested in things that are purportedly happening to her. This is a demon. This is a witch. Okay. And she's engaging with spiritually attacking me while I get upset on her behalf because she's telling me that people are doing things to her, telling me that people are saying things. She's lying. She is lying. While she is, again, using me, I'm paying all the bills and whatnot. And if this was actually her circumstance economically, I don't have a problem taking care of my family. That's why I went to school. That's why I did that. Okay. But she's using me. And upon realizing in Upland, California, that first of all, she's a demon. And second of all, she's targeting me. She's gang stalking me with these demons that I saw congregating around my apartment day and night, becoming aware of this system. And these demons are psychopaths. They were literally grouping around my apartment building. I would look out my window, a gang of people outside of the window on the sidewalk. Somebody always present, whether it's walking their dog, whether it's watering the grass, whether it's getting in and out of their car. They were always present. Like I'm showing you how the demon possessor or gang stalking, where you know the fake son is over that apartment in Upland, California. You know that because you see on May 18, 2018, May of 2018, the particular date, it's the 23rd, you'll see the fake son over me in the presence of Officer Nakamura and Turner, who are gang stalking me, threatening my life in doing so. That's why you go to federal prison. But the entity is gang stalking me, and upon becoming aware of this, I'm the one that's paying the bills, paying the rent, put the deposit down. I'm the one that is taking care of the household. That is not what's going to be discussed in that court hearing, though, where a bunch of demons, fake friends, and this fake mother, Eric Corey Spencer, all these demons lying because they want to steal my property while they're simultaneously gang stalking me in the background. That's also not a part of the court hearings concerning property. Okay, that's what's so disgusting about this. They're not even telling the truth. Of course you can't. You can't tell the truth about me and then try to maintain some secret conservatorship. That's not even the means whereby you establish a conservatorship. Even if someone is mentally ill, they are a part of that process. You're not ignorantly getting a conservatorship over someone. You are a part of that process. You're consenting to it. You're able to sit in the courtroom. I should have been there and been like, yes, I agree to Tracy, my mother, having a conservatorship over me. Absolutely, because I need her to take care of my property. I trust her. I need her to do this for me so that I can responsibly execute my duties pertaining to this wealth that belongs to me, that's been given to me. And I trust her to hold that for me. I trust her to rule over that on my behalf. That's not what happened. And the government is a part of that criminal act. The court hearings are a criminal act. Okay, the entity, guess who's not giving me my mail? It's the same government. Who is gang stalking? They're showing you every day. UPS, Amazon Prime, USPS. The gang stalking demons wearing USPS uniforms. It's the same entity that's stealing my mail. Co-conspirators with Tracy Banks, with these demons committing perjury in the courtrooms. That's what's so foolish. While I'm covering the case in chief, I'm showing you what the pattern of conduct is. And you're witnessing them engaging in that P.O.C. while they're conspiring to steal from me, while actively in furtherance of a conspiracy to murder me. while they're gang stalking. Everything that the entity is doing, oh, well, you're not getting any notice about the court hearings, you're not getting any notice about property, the entity is gang stalking me. That's a part of the pattern of conduct. I've already surrounded this entity with the evidence that's going to be a comprehensive prosecution. They're already surrounded by it. This is what the entity is doing while intentionally leaving out information that doesn't serve their purposes. The fact that Tracy Banks was in my apartment. The fact that I submitted a 30-day notice forcing her to move out of my apartment. Okay, paying her bills and mine. Forcing her to pay me half of the rent when I'm realizing that she is targeting me. And then making false accusations. And then conspiring with the landlord trying to get me kicked out when I'm paying the rent and the landlord is lying that I didn't pay the rent. And I documented all this in writing. This is where I'm revealing and I'm documenting and I'm experiencing the fact that she is indeed not just an imperfect mother, but she's a demon and she's targeting me. All right, in all the ways in which she's lying with the entity, okay? So this is relevant to my 30-day notice that I'm submitting in May of 2018, and this is the entity that's living in my castle. I did not welcome the government into my home. That's what Tracy Banks represents, and the entity is gang stalking me in that private space. This is what the entity is doing in the hotel rooms. This is what the entity is doing in the bathroom at any facilitating venue. This is what the entity is doing while I am living in my private space where I maintain my constitutional rights, and the entity that's engaging in surveillance, they're not operating under any constitutional authority, and none of them are individuals under the Constitution. It's not a private property. It's a facilitating venue. And I am being violated while I am maintaining full constitutional rights that the government is violating, including through Tracy Banks, who has no right to be in my apartment. Keeping me under surveillance, gang stalking me. Thinking that she has, because this Jezebel spirit is deceived, thinking that she's going to be smarter than me. Okay, that's where you've gone way beyond your britches, okay? And this is the entity that is delusional, okay? Delusional with regard to facts that you are looking at, and you still thought that you were going to accomplish that. You thought that that was a good decision to make with the information that you have available to you. You thought that under those circumstances that that was going to be the end result, regardless of all the symptoms, all the circumstances that tell you otherwise. Delusional, okay? This is the entity that's still gang stalking in 2025 as well. The same demonic spirit speaking to mental illness. I want to make sure I give that relevant context because it's relevant to the entity that's been gang stalking me for years. And this has been a long-term conspiracy, a long-term investment, and what was always supposed to result in my death and a tremendous cashing in. Okay. And this is what Jason Isaac Fields has been engaged in a long-term sexual relationship with Tracy Banks. But this is why he will never, under any federal law, I will prosecute him. He's going to federal prison. But even outside of that, he is never going to be permitted in my presence. This is a terrorist, a sex offender. He is a maniacal psychopath. Okay, he is engaging in what is him and Tracy. This is my mother who's having sex with a fake friend of mine, literally having sex with him because of her obsession with me. And he's having sex with her because of his obsession with me. And understand this obsession is not a compliment. This obsession is based because they're demons. So their obsession is perverted. They sit around and masturbate and have sex with other people while they're fixated on my vagina. They are having sex with each other while they are both fixated on my vagina. They engage in the practice of witchcraft, focusing on my vagina. This is that Jezebel spirit. This is pedophilia that's underway by the gang stalkers themselves. The gang stalkers that you hear flying over me at Ontario Town Square, 224 North Euclid Avenue. This is real-time monitoring, criminal monitoring that's underway, speaking to the impunity of that entity that is going to be prosecuted. And the mental illness is also going to be a part of the prosecution of gang stalking. Again, the landing where Canon Management, a third party, is gang stalking with Tracy Banks, the pedophile, where pedophilia is underway at this apartment complex where Tracy Banks is telling me in a manner where she is deriving pleasure from it. She's smirking on her face, and this is speaking to severe. This is a cold-hearted person. Again, at that time, I love my mother, and perhaps my love for her and my inability, perhaps it blocked my ability to see her in her true form. Because I was perturbed by the way in which she told me that information. I'm perturbed by that circumstance of a child in the first place. But what it is that I observed by the way she told me, I noticed it. But it's still, at that point, I still was, because of my love is outweighing my ability to see her for exactly what she is. She is a cold-hearted, perverted murderer. Okay? And she has no regard for human life. And she is a psychopath that derives pleasure and sexual gratification specifically from harming other people and harming people that cannot protect themselves, like children. And she is telling me at landing where pedophilia and gang stalking is underway at 200 East 30th Street in San Bernardino, California, 92404, where the San Bernardino Police Department are gang stalking. Okay? The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the same sheriff, gang stalking. Okay, it is John McMahon before it is Shannon Dykes, the same criminal system underway, by the way. It's currently 9:24 a.m. and all right, Southwest Airlines, stalking the fake sun at 9:58 a.m. in the moment that I began walking. This is Southwest Airlines. This is the people of the state. This is the government engaged in monitoring. That's very demonic. As I began walking, plane activity is the means of audible activity in engineer light under the fake sun. This is demonic with regard to, you need to understand that Southwest Airlines is associated engaging in satanic conduct, and they engage in sacrifices. And so this is relevant to what is getting on planes flown by demons who engage in routine ritualistic conduct such as stalking in the engineer environment, murdering people, okay, with the demons who are stalking in helicopter. And as I speak the truth of that, that's how you know it, because the Ontario police are always gang stalking with regard to their intentions to be disbanded. It is currently 10 a.m. I'm going to show you them flying right over my head, stalking with, again, those engaging in sacrificing Southwest Airlines, doing so with regard to their understanding it's not a distraction. The Ontario Police Department is letting you know that all of these demons are going into the library to engage in gang stalking. As an entire police department, they're stalking, monitoring my vagina. They are all aware, sharing knowledge about what's going on with my panties in the bathroom, while there are demons stalking under a fake sun that remains over the library, like you will see as I show you the example of demons that are monitoring together, demons monitoring on communication devices, demons monitoring as a community, pedophiles that also engage in the sex offense of gang stalking with the corrupt police department. As I'm letting you know that Southwest Airlines is flown by demons who commit sacrifices, murdering American citizens, not engaging in tragic accidents, plane crashes. That's relevant to the demonic conduct that Southwest Airlines just engaged in at 9:58 a.m. That is stalking with regard to my most minute movement. The moment I start walking is when a plane that's not taking off from the airport, that is not published on the Ontario International website, is flying over the Ontario Town Square, where the fake sun is remaining until the end of the day, where the Ontario Police Department, that you already know are demons obsessed with my vagina, stalking me under this fake sun that remains on this same street throughout the city, like you saw in the evening after 6 p.m., where the fake sun is still on the same street, flying over my head, because Southwest Airlines is being exposed as those that practice rituals, murdering American citizens. 7 WYG 488 is gang stalking with the city of Ontario, and further into the conspiracy to commit murder as a gang stalker. This is Tracy Banks' co-defendants. 31762T3. Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. These are the ignoramuses that she targeted me with. Okay, while she is engaging in what is targeting with a bunch of sex offenders, which she is as well. And so is Southwest Airlines. They commit sacrifices. They're not plain accidents. Okay? They're not accidents with regard to commercial flights. These are demons that are monitoring. I'm letting you know they commit sacrifices. They murder people. They are murderers. Okay, those are demons flying planes. Those are planes that are also associated, those are brands, airlines associated with what are plane crashes. 4XUT 780, and they commit sacrifices just like Southwest Airlines is gang stalking me and furtherance of murder. That's a sacrifice, and it's a failed one, especially while you're looking at their co-defendant, the Ontario Police Department, engaging in a pattern of idiotic conduct. Idiotic. They're being disbanded. All the gang stalkers gang stalking at 1:07 p.m. at this same library. The band of demons standing in a group, the Ontario Police, as I'm coming from Starbucks, where this is not over the Starbucks. All right, I'm at Starbucks at 10 o'clock in the morning. The entity's keeping the fake sun. I'm at the Economy Inn at 10 o'clock in the morning, where the Ontario Police are stalking at the same time. This is not over the same time at Economy Inn, which is by the 60 freeway. The demons are flying over me because I'm letting you know about sacrifices that the demon possess that are associated with companies. Airlines, you're putting your life in their hands, and they commit sacrifices. This is what you need to be aware of. These are demons, Satan's spirit over all of them, and they're all pacing together. They're all stalking. In this engineer light, look at my shadow, because this is activity creation. While they're all walking around me, they're monitoring. This is activity creation. They're all stalking. These are demons, okay? They're all under a fake sun. This is not normal life. It's the same thing with their vehicles. It's the same thing with Southwest Airlines, demons that are stalking. Southwest Airlines is associated with domestic terrorism and psychological torture and sexual violence, and they commit sacrifices. That's referred to legally as murder. This is P.O.C. And the Ontario Police Department is engaging in what is corroborating that criminal conduct by stalking and flying over my head by helicopter. That's a pattern of conduct at 10:02 p.m. That's P.O.C. All right, remember it's 10:02. Alan D. WAPNER is being removed from office while the entity is flying over a senior citizen complex, while a demon 9LGA210 simultaneously crossing path, while the entity is amplifying plane activity, flying over the senior citizen complex, deviating, flying miles away to be at this location where they are stalking. And this is the impunity. Remember that Southwest Airlines is gang stalking 3 hours earlier, right here at 303 North Euclid Avenue, where the sun would not still be at the same location. In fact, it's east of that location where it's at, where I'm at 303 North Euclid Avenue at 7:15, where the Ontario police are calling gang stalking police training. Remember July 14, 2025? Go ahead and look at it. They're being disbanded. All right, and they're engaged in a failed sacrifice, and it's going to be nationwide, international news. They're going to federal prison. It's currently 10:03 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, documenting impunity while the Ontario police join in on the criminal pattern of conduct and its relevant context regarding what you need to know is going on with regard to corrupt airlines businesses. 9MKT 115. That's a satanic act. They're stalking under a fake sun and an engineer light. This is monitoring. And they're monitoring every move that I make while they're pacing back and forth. This is the context regarding all the bodies that you're seeing walking around. These are demon-possessed people. And these are the ones that are engaged in pedophilia. Southwest Airlines is associated with pedophilia. Southwest Airlines is associated with what are demons flying those planes that commit murder. And that's exactly what I'm stating, while the Ontario police then fly over the top of my head where they were already lurking, monitoring with the Ontario International Airport. Under the fake sun that's still at this same OVITT Family Community Library, like you know, as late as 6 p.m., 6:22 p.m., where the entity is keeping my vagina under surveillance. A bunch of demons just went into the OVITT Family Community Library who are stalking with noise inside of this library and engineer light, monitoring my vagina while they're all together worshiping it. And these are pedophiles that are gang stalking at a so-called family community library. So we're going to go document the employees because the entity that engaged in kidnapping, like Sean Thrasher, that's federal prison. The entity provides a wealth of evidence today. Sean Thrasher goes to federal prison for it tomorrow. This is P.O.C. Because you'll remember Sean Thrasher engaging in multiple acts with the Ontario police who are terrorizing me at this library. And then you're going to call the police, waging false allegations. Oh, because you don't like being shown as a sex offender that you are. This is the entity that engaged in that, and this is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. All right, this is P.O.C. That's called malice, and you're going to federal prison for that as well. It's an unlawful threat to American citizens, and this is where the Ontario police are gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library. It's still here after 6 p.m. And that's the threat where psychopaths are stalking them. Hi. Quick question. Is there a website where I can access my, I think I was told about like an electronic library card?
Right, yes. So our app cloud library is where you can keep your library card on there.
Okay, I think it was you that, or was the other girl? She was really helpful. What's your name?
It's Taylor.
No, I think it was somebody else. But what is it on the Ontario Library website?
You know, it may be linked through our catalog, but you can always just search it through the App Store as well.
Oh, so it's an app?
Yes.
On the Play Store?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that part. So what's it called again?
Cloud library. Spelled how it sounds.
Thank you very much. Very helpful. Have a good one. All right, this is an engineer light with the entity stalking by plane and helicopter in real time while I am walking into the entrance, and that's the unlawful threat by the patrons and the people that state psychopaths that gang stalk you. While you're subject to that terrorizing environment, that's relevant to psychological torture intentionally inflicted by the entity that's engaging in public corruption. They're also engaging in monitoring your vagina without saying a word about it either, looking at you with a straight face as though they're not keeping your genitalia under surveillance, knowing exactly what happened in the bathroom, while then you're looking at them and having a conversation about them and talking about books that they're not focused on. All right, this is the pattern of conduct. That these are the demons that are going to be subject to, like Sean Thrasher, federal prison. The entity kidnaps American citizens, you're going to federal prison. While as soon as clear as the Ontario police are stalking by helicopter at the library where the fake sun is present in the evening, because this library is engaged in surveillance. And so is the mayor. The mayor's office is right behind this library, the same property where the police are engaged in stalking. The mayor is engaged in stalking, and the mayor knows all about all that, everything that I'm documenting. The mayor knows who I am. The mayor knows what's going on with my vagina. The mayor is gang stalking literally at the city hall. All right, it is currently 10:07 a.m. P.O.C. at OVITT Family Community Library. This is 215 E.C. Street. Documenting what the demons maintain. They sit around inside of the library, engaging in ongoing noise like this with every move that I make, everything that I'm up with, that's psychopathic. They're all demon-possessed, stalking with noise. A whole bunch of, it's like being surrounded by an infestation of cockroaches that are walking upright, silent while knowing what you're doing. And that knowledge is proven through the stalking of with noise. They're all in engineer light. They're in the building under the fake sun, and they're stalking with the Ontario Police and the Ontario International Airport that just engaged in ongoing psychological warfare, while then you're sitting in the building as though you're separate. Those are the delusional psychopaths that are gang stalking. Okay? Many of them are going straight to federal prison. It's currently 10:08 a.m. Ongoing bathroom monitoring by the same sex offenders that you hear me discussing library cards about. This is the entity that practices sexual violence as a bunch of stalkers together in that specific environment, and they become, again, aroused with regard to knowledge about your indisposed state, engaging in the maintenance, and that knowledge is proven through the maintenance of audible noise, which is occurring pursuant to that same formula with simultaneity and in the engineered light, and it is in the venue where I'm showing you a fake sun is remaining over the building. This is where pedophiles are working as librarians at the OVITT Family Community Library, and these sex offenders' faces you're going to see. I'm going to include a caption so that you're aware of the sex offenders that they are, looking at them up close as possible so you can even see their pores if possible, because I don't want there to be any mistake with regard to how pedophiles look, where pedophiles work, what pedophiles are doing, with regard to what has nothing, under any circumstances, it is in no way relevant to how you, where you live or how you speak or where you went to school, who your parents are, what race you are, how old you are. The entities engage in the pattern of conduct, and while with knowledge, that is with simultaneity to my pulling my pants down, I'm listening to ongoing noise that's occurring with simultaneity. Silence before I take my panties down. But when I put my panties down, then the sound of noise is occurring inside of the bathroom. Then silence again. The moment that my legs are spread apart, okay, relieving myself, wiping myself, things that you must do with simultaneity to those specific moments. Noise is coexisting, okay? And then silence, repeating it again. For if you wipe once, you wipe twice, okay, if you're, a thorough person. The ongoing maintenance of noise is coexisting with that, and that's speaking to the knowledge about your genitalia, and that knowledge is proven. There is no light activity when you're putting artificial lights in the walls and the ceiling that's going to create multiple shadows. That is demonic. It is as plainly as the sound of what is the amplification of a helicopter that's flying over the mountains, and you're looking at it at a distance, but how are you able to hear that? It's demonic activity that's right in front of your face, and this is speaking to the reality of the spiritual realm, where you were previously inconveniently ignoring it, stating, well, I don't believe in a God, and I don't believe in a heaven and a hell. Well, it's not about once you choose to believe, it's about reality, and the reality is right in front of your face, and this is no longer about a constitutional right, freedom of faith, okay, freedom of religion. These are tangible facts, and the spiritual realm is right in front of your face. The impossible light activity is a reference to its direct, tangible evidence of the spiritual realm. That's demonic. Standing under artificial light creates one shadow. It does not create multiple shadows. It doesn't create multiple shadows that are perpendicular. It doesn't create multiple shadows that vary in concentration of hues. That's demonic, and it's pursuant to specific knowledge also that coexists with the maintenance of noise. And sex offenders engage in that pattern of conduct pursuant to your genitalia, pursuant to your private activity, pursuant to a sexually motivated purpose of humiliation amongst the demons that are sexually aroused with that knowledge while they're monitoring you, with demons that intend to humiliate you together, especially while you're documenting it. So the demons know that you're documenting. The demons know that you're aware of what they're doing, and they engage in that sexually perverted method of monitoring you. And this is supposed to, I'm speaking of the purpose. I'm exposing them. So this is, again, the demons that are then they're mad and embarrassed and fly in circles over me by helicopter because they're sex offenders, and I'm publishing the evidence. This is delusional psychopathic conduct, okay? The entity is, however, engaging in this conduct, and that's supposed to result in your being humiliated amongst an audience of sex offenders who are all together surveying your private activity concerning your vagina. Okay, this is the P, and not just because men are gang stalked as well, but this is, again, I'm putting in terms where you can understand and you can put yourself in the position, because that's what I'm doing. I'm advocating on behalf of the ordinary target individual who is subject to this, suffering in silence, living in a bubble, having no one to report it to, waiting for you to tell somebody one thing, please, so that they can start criminally defaming you, locking you up against your will, depicting you as being someone that's paranoid, hallucinating, mentally ill, and the people of the state and the government are poised to add to that narrative in order to kidnap, essentially to engage in what is murder. The entity is waiting for you to do that. This is not going to happen. This is a failed sacrifice. You're witnessing the exposure of public corruption. You need to understand that gang stalking is a sex offense. Including while you're outside, you're engaging in a sex offense. It's an ongoing molestation. These demons are obsessed, okay? They are obsessed, and they're also obsessed with what's between your legs. And they train their little gang stalking children to be predators as well. They prey upon their own children. Their children are engaged in or accustomed to sexual violence, and they grow up and they repeat that. They even think it's normal. And even if they become aware that it's not normal, they develop that demonic spirit with regard to lusting after those that are, it's totally inappropriate, lusting after your family members, lusting after those that are minor children, that you should have no sexual connection or desire for. It's demonic. Okay, you need to understand that. The entity is engaged in acts of perversion, contrary to what social media and this dark world wants you to be accustomed to. Homosexuality is a product of that Jezebel spirit. It's a perverted spirit focusing on this perverted sexual acts. Group sex, this polyamorous lifestyle, that is a manifestation of that same demonic spirit, that Jezebel spirit, and it's sexually perverted acts that you have a desire for, that you practice, and it is adding to what is the destruction of your soul. It's demonic. So I just want to be clear, and demonic behavior is manifested through what it is, it's manifested from what your spiritual condition is. And if you did not know, your sexual activity has a direct implication, a direct affect on, it is actually the evidence of what's going on with you spiritually, including adultery. Yes, cheating on your spouse, your significant other, promiscuity, things that, again, and this is all sin. And these are things that are normally underway. Everybody talk, oh, I'm cheating on my boyfriend, I'm cheating on my husband, engaging in fornication as well. This promiscuous lifestyle, this is relevant to a Jezebel spirit. And the reason why Satan wants you to engage in them is because you are exposing yourself to spiritual darkness. And this is also why the demon possessed, these witch covens, they engage in sex rituals. They're aware of the power of sexual activity. And they use their bodies to exchange demonic spirits amongst each other, while you're ignorantly just giving away your precious jewels to anybody that shows you attention, because you don't understand your value. You know, and more than that, because it's not intellectual. You don't belong to yourself. You were bought with a price. You were created by your Lord God Almighty, whether you know him personally in a relationship as your Lord and Savior, but you do not belong to yourself. You weren't just created so that you could do whatever with your vessel. Your body is a temple of God, and it is maintaining what is, you are a soul. And what you do with your body, it's speaking to what is going on with you spiritually, and it's speaking to what you are exposing yourself to spiritually. And Satan wants you laying around with, sleeping with all manner of people, engaging in all this lifestyle in order to get spirits in you. All right, it's a form of bondage. That's relevant to what the entity is doing, though. These are sex offenders and these are pedophiles, and the entity is monitoring the bathroom. And you will see images up close of the sex offenders, the ones that you saw heard me speaking to at the front desk. These things that are sitting around in engineer light inside of the library, sharing in what is monitoring my vagina, and then sitting out here, they're all in engineer light, all engaging in what is knowledge about what just happened about there. That's mental illness. And the Ontario police that are flying over my head in helicopter, the same sex offense underway. That's P.O.C. It's 11:45. Oh, you can go ahead.
right, what you heard me referring to is a sex offender entering pursuant to the demonic pattern of conduct regarding knowledge about what demons know that you're doing on your phone in the area where they're keeping your vagina under surveillance. This is the experience of the target individual, that is myself, who is documenting the sex offender, the OVIT, quote-unquote, family community, the community of sex offenders, pedophiles, who are gang stalking me inside of this venue. Engineer light is on the staircase as well. This is not sunlight, especially when the entity is keeping the sun over Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue, especially when the sun is over the same library in the morning. This is where this demon, who is a sex offender, engaging in what is also homosexual conduct that is sexually violent, perverted, the same Jezebel spirit, that's monitoring while a co-defendant enters into the bathroom. And this is what the demons do while they monitor the evidence that I publish. And this is relevant to the sex offender that is the entity that's gang stalking American citizens in bathrooms, keeping your genitalia under surveillance. The entities engaging in what is the sexual perversion of monitoring in the bathroom are aware of the documentation that I published online, and then they engage in a documented pattern of inflicting more sexually violent harm, meaning the demons will enter into the bathroom at a greater frequency. They will directly engage in that while they, as a means of retaliation. This is a sex offender's mind state. Okay, so when they're monitoring, for example, they are monitoring. They don't have to walk into the bathroom to be monitoring. They're engaging in the elements monitoring, and it's demonic. Okay, you're looking at people, and you're talking about a demonic environment. So these are demons that are surrounding you, and a demonic environment surrounds you, while demon-possessed people surround you. So they're monitoring when they're not physically in the bathroom with you. They are remaining around the bathroom, monitoring, while that demonic environment surrounds you in that private space. These are sex offenders who are of specifically a Jezebel spirit. This is that sexual perversion that is characterizing that pattern of conduct. So the entity engages in a documented pattern of, this is quote-unquote retaliation. And this is why you're documenting. This is what the demons do with gang stalking with these idiots, the Ontario police who are being disbanded. These baboons engage in stalking in helicopter, and then the federal government, the feds, they're not doubting that the Ontario police are gang stalking when you document that as well. And you're also paying attention to the pattern, because this is what I told you to sit back and watch. What are they doing with regard to what I document, what it is that I reference, and then what do the demons do while they're sitting back monitoring what is being exposed about them? They engage in the pattern of replicating that which I speak of, engaging in what is a quote-unquote act of retaliation based on the fact that I'm documenting it, and then you quote call yourself responding. There's no response to a federal prosecutor. You're being prosecuted. These are psychopaths, and they're also sex offenders. And so this is relevant to the demon that walks into the bathroom. This is not the ongoing coincidental timing of needing to relieve yourself based on your body's need to do so, and absence of knowledge about who I am and where I am and what I'm doing, and ignorance about my documentation. Having no knowledge. This is a sex offender that's acting as an entity that enters in with specific knowledge, with the intent to inflict sexually violent harm. And this is the entity's purpose, while all of them are going to be exposed as sex offenders. This is demonic as well. You're always going back to the way in which you're analyzing the predator, analyzing the terrorist, strapping bombs to their person, arming themselves with as much artillery as possible, hurting as many people as possible, based on hostility to being accountable for that which they've engaged in, waging more and more harm, engaging in more threatening conduct, inflicting more sexually violent engaging in for their sexually inflicted harms, sexually perverted, sexually motivated harms inflicted while they are being exposed. This is the mental illness, the psychopathic behavioral pattern. The sex offender commits more sexual violence, okay? The gang stalker engages in more of that conduct, and that is their response to being exposed as a sex offender. Okay, so I just want to be clear. And the demon is in the bathroom stall. When you hear me say, oh, you can go ahead. This is somebody that's engaging in what is activity creation with simultaneity to my turning on my camera. Okay, monitoring. And this is a sex offender. These are sex offenders that are monitoring, and no, that's what I'm saying. They don't have to be in the bathroom. Entering into the bathroom is a sexually perverted threat, and these are the demons that are going to be held accountable for being sex offenders and predators. While you're angry and you in your delusional mind, like you're retaliating against while you're being prosecuted, this is like standing in federal court and the judge is telling you you're going to federal court for 17 years, and you call yourself retaliating by knocking the glass off the table.
or cussing the judge out, you're retaliating. You're going to federal prison still, and you are engaging in what is behavior that's to your own demise. And nobody is entertaining this nonsense. These are the demons that they're sick in the head. You are under all circumstances shown to be engaging in stalking and monitoring in a bathroom. It doesn't get any more sick and demented than that. And then all of these dead people are doing it together. It's a whole government system. Sexual violence is systematically underway in the city of Ontario. That is the state of California, where pedophiles are maintaining a secret system of gang stalking. All right, so I just want to be clear, that's relevant to what you're hearing me say to a sex offender that enters in order to maintain the elements of monitoring, while the co-defendant that just walked in, because she could have just flushed the toilet. That's what they typically do while they're monitoring me inside of the bathroom stall. They'll immediately flush the toilet or make some sort of noise. They can do the same thing in many different ways. This demon enters in, and they're gang stalking together. They're monitoring together, and this is homosexual conduct. These are women monitoring the vagina of another woman. That's homosexual conduct. And then they live their lives as though they're heterosexual women interested in men. You're dealing with a spirit. Okay? And the behavior is what is manifesting from that spirit. That spirit is sexually perverted, is sexually dysfunctional. It engages in perverted acts. It thrives off of it, and then it's that spirit is occupying space within a person, and that person may identify in everyday life wanting to present as sane, by the way, and also wanting to present as heterosexual, but yeah, you're monitoring my vagina. Okay, the entities engaging in the P.O.C. at sexual violence, 1:18 p.m. That's bathroom monitoring. This is P.O.C. at the OVITT quote-unquote family community library where sexual violence is underway. That's P.O.C. All right, the images regarding, and this is, I just want to be clear, this is all relevant to the civil and criminal case because there is substantial recovery where the government is not capable of making an American citizen whole whom it is gang stalking. Nevertheless, you are going to prosecute for that. What you're hearing in the background is what the demon-possessed are maintaining as a means of stalking with noise. This is relevant to harassment. They're all sitting around in impossible light activity. They're all sitting around under a fake sun. And psychopaths who are also monitoring genitalia in the private space inside of this venue are also engaged in monitoring in violation of Title 18 federal stalking statute. Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. And psychopaths replicate in real time while you document them, and you're going to use that evidence to diagnose them as well. That is the very maintenance of amplified noise pursuant to ongoing monitoring of internet activity. And what it is that I'm doing online is what the demon-possessed are monitoring in its psychopathic behavior. It is currently 4:31 p.m. and the evidence of everything that I'm documenting is the fact that they're all sitting under a fake sun that remains over the same venue where it was 10 o'clock, where the Ontario police are stalking with them in a helicopter. Okay, and this is the very evidence that you're going to play back in court when people are going to be diagnosed, placed in asylums, and in federal prison. This is the OVITT quote-unquote family community, the community of the dead that are monitoring. It's 4:31 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, stoic demons stalking with impossible light activity, walking around in engineered light while they're monitoring. This is, again, while they are hostile to what it is that's being published online, and they're all sitting around like zombies, monitoring together with ongoing noise and light activity flashing about. And this is relevant to the mental illness. Recall the documentation this morning in the parking garage where a psychopath that is gang stalking you is then asking questions that they know the answer to, which is documentation of mental illness and harassment by that entity that you're going to prosecute. And then you're recalling the Ontario police flying right over the top of my head with knowledge of what I am documenting, the same entity. That's what's pacing around inside of the venue with flashing of light, passive aggressive and psychopathic means of monitoring by dead people. These are demons. It's 4:37 p.m. Pay attention to what's being published regarding 2022. That's what the demons are hostile to. They're going to be prosecuted. It's P.O.C. All right, you will see uploaded to the Google Drive. It's 8:51 p.m. The entity that's engaged in ambush conduct, a bunch of demons that are all stalking me together, engaging in terrorism together, 90JB 88. Let me get the rest of this demon's license plate. These demons are monitoring with the Ontario International Airport, 9TJB885, 4LTS827. Kemper is a commercial actor, license 9LIM959. License 9CQR191, 8TRL142. License 9GKF563. If you'll recall the documentation of the Ontario Police gang stalking me by helicopter upon my exit of this same venue, the OVITT Family Community Library, where the fake son remains for the duration of the day, which is evidence, a supernatural circumstance regarding gang stalking, which is demonic, relevant to domestic terrorism and psychological torture by a targeting entity in the United States. It is published on the internet already. And at this venue, the entity is gang stalking at nightfall. You will see the demon walking out of the entrance. He has shadows surrounding his person. That's impossible light, while the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking and doing so again with the people that are crossing path in concert, where the entity is doing so with the Ontario International Airport. The Ontario International Airport is now engaged in what is monitoring the evidence that's being published online. All right, so those third parties, just like I documented at 8:59 p.m. upon my exit of the OVITT Family Community Library, this is the same pattern of conduct. And this is, again, a day after the entity engages in acts of terrorism and harassment. These are sex offenders monitoring my vagina, engaging in gang stalking while they are hostile to what I published regarding additional year of evidence. I started publishing in 2022 today. And I'm speaking to the mental illness of the demons that have been gang stalking me for years. And as I engage in publishing evidence that psychopaths are hostile regarding their criminal conduct, the entity engages in this sort of criminal activity. And so this is what is relevant to what the Ontario police are doing, stalking at the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library at 8:59 p.m. And then I went in and documented the entire parking garage. That is 320 West G Street, 320 North Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California. That is monitoring right now, where there are no flights that are going to arrive at the 280 North Limit Apartments, while the entity is engaging in what is stalking using commercial planes. These demons are engaging in psychopathic pacing. They're doing so. You pay attention to their shadows while they're walking from the parking lot, from their cars back and fro to the entrances. These are demons that are monitoring while the entity that is already subject to a federal prosecution in a federal court knows that they have failed not only in a satanic sacrifice, but they have failed with regard to gang stalking in a manner that does not expose the U.S. government. The government that's engaging in that criminal system is engaging in terrorism with knowledge of the fact that they have been exposed and essentially prosecuted on the internet, and it's relevant to the prosecution of that government body. It's relevant to gang stalkers like Alan D. Wapner. It's relevant to gang stalkers like Southwest Airlines. It's relevant to gang stalkers such as Kemper Insurance. Again, this is a demon with a minor child, a Latino male, license 9LIM959. Gang stalking. They're doing so on the path. They have multiple shadows. This is engineered light that they are stalking in, not walking to, not engaging in private activity, not minding their business, not coincidentally in the path. They are stalking in the path while in the sky space. As I walk out, the entity is engaging in the ambush conduct of stalking using commercial planes. They're doing so over the senior citizen complex, which is the 280 North Limit Apartments. And this is the pattern of conduct that the entity has been engaged in for years. And this is where the entity is going to stalk me going north up Euclid Avenue using commercial planes. Okay, this is an entity that's engaging in revealing its obsession, and your understanding of recognizing mental illness and obsession in furtherance of murdering the object of the demon-possessed obsession while they're gang stalking them. And that is, again, the demon-possessed that engage in sacrificing American citizens through plane crashes. These are not accidents. These are not tragic mishappenings. These are demons that are gang stalking me using commercial planes. Which is satanic conduct, which you are now aware, and it's criminal activity. I'm showing you how to prosecute it. The entity is engaging in what is sacrifices, and this is relevant to what the Ontario police are engaged in federal stalking, and they fly over the top of my head as I'm exposing that to you. And I'm not exposing it, actually the government is exposing it to you, and I'm giving you relevant context, what it is that you are supposed to be picking up while you're witnessing the corruption of a government that's stalking an American citizen, keeping an American citizen under surveillance, and sexually violating in an unprecedented manner an American citizen. The entity maintaining plane activity, you're going to pay attention to not only the entity that is gang stalking with them. The Ontario International Airport is monitoring my vagina, and so are these third parties, all of whose license plates I just read. And that's just the sample, because those are the demons that are right here in front of me. They are doing so, engaging in bathroom monitoring, tracking my every step as I walk outside of the library. That is where plane activity is happening in sync with my movement. That's the demonic synchronicity of demons that are stalking. And you also know that the entire city is stalking because a fake sun remains over this library. This is the prosecution of demons like the Ontario Police Department, the gang stalkers that have committed kidnapping, while Mike LORENZ is being exposed. And Mike LORENZ is a sex offender, has been monitoring my vagina every time I went into the bathroom today. And so was Alan D. Wapner, maintaining criminally procured intelligence about the status of my vagina, while commercial planes are a means of monitoring and harassment and psychological torture. They're sex offenders. And what you are picking up and recognizing, in other words, the implications of gang stalking, which is satanic, is you need to understand that these are not in the United States where you are having plane crashes. These are demons that are gang stalking. These are demons that engage in sacrificing. This is the purpose of the commercial planes gang stalking me now. This is that which is committed in furtherance of my murder. That's why Southwest Airlines and every other airlines is gang stalking in furtherance of committing murder. This is satanic. They commit sacrifices. And this is relevant to what you look at on the news. They're not plane crashes as in accidents. They sacrifice American citizens. And so do these demons that are gang stalking with the airport. So do they. Okay? And this is why the gang stalking police department, Ontario Police, is being disbanded. City of Ontario is stalking in the path. License plate 1407544. They are crossing path, doing so in the same exact engineer light. That's Paul Leon, paying for the use of vehicles associated with the municipality where they're engaged in criminal activity. And they do so with impunity all day long under a fake sun, by the way. Demons that are stalking with regard to audible activity, light activity, and relevant positioning, while on the surface you're looking at what are city workers, the municipality employees. The demons that are gang stalking as they empty the garbage, engaging in the demonic pattern of conduct. That's public corruption that's underway by this demon, Paul Leon, who's been gang stalking all day long, while the Ontario City Hall is right here, steps away from the OVITT Family Community Library, where he is going to be removed from office, very much aware of the gang stalking, criminal surveillance, public corruption inherent to the unlawful and improper operations of the Ontario International Airport, okay? The Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 at the airport, again, it's located at 2500 Airport Drive. There is absolutely no flight that's going to be hovering over this area or over the 280 North Limit Apartments when they are taking off from the airport. And the entity goes even farther to be north of where I'm at the CHEVRON, at the Starbucks, at Woodside Senior Apartments, at the Tabor Professional Building, at the 7-Eleven, where they are stalking, going farther and farther through the city to then engage in what is maintaining aerial surveillance over me at East Street and Euclid Avenue. This is what they're doing last night, flying over 415 South Euclid Avenue all night long, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. None of that's published on the website either. The entity is stalking. Okay, and the entity is stalking at nightfall. These are demons that are stalking all night long. It's not traffic on Euclid. Under the fake sun, nor at nightfall. 9 REB 642 is gang stalking, and he's engaged in federal stalking in particular. Okay, this is P.O.C. and the employees at the OVITT Family Community Library are engaged in surveillance while they are simultaneously making money, being paid as employees. Criminal summoning the moment that I log onto the Wi-Fi network. This is criminal summoning by a demon that's also crossing path. 8WPR 197. This is what the demons are doing at Ontario Town Square all day. While I'm sitting at the Ontario Town Square, this is what Michael Gerken, the Ontario Fire Department's on B Street, steps away from this. It's the same plaza. They're engaging in surveillance when they're sounding sirens. This is demonic activity. These are cockroaches. And the entity is maintaining flights over this venue adjacent to the entrance that I'm walking out of the moment that I'm walking out. And this is exactly what the Ontario Police Department committed at 8:59 p.m. upon my exit of the same exact venue. This is P.O.C. That's, again, criminal conduct of Michael Gerken, and the same third parties are monitoring. So let me read you their license plates while they're loitering, engaging in surveillance. These are the demons that then get out of their vehicle, stalking in the path like they were this morning, asking me questions about, what are you doing? These are the psychopaths that are gang stalking, and that's why you're going to be federally prosecuted for that. And if they're immigrants, you're going to deport. License 4LTS 827, ongoing surveillance. License pacing, license plate 8ZZJ 905. And these are psychopaths that are gang stalking. Remember, Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. This is the unintelligent co-defendant, the city of Ontario, the state, that she's gang stalking with. The unintelligent group of demons that are engaging in targeting with the Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario International Airport. She's going to federal prison. And her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields, is acting in furtherance of the criminal conduct of this same entity as well. Okay, that's federal prison. While I'm documenting, there's no question about what Tracy Banks has been engaged in and who she's relying on targeting me with her. She's a psychopath, and she's documented engaging in targeting me with the state of California, and that's what the city of Ontario is engaging in. That's why you have flights, inexplicable flights at a low elevation over a senior citizen complex at 9 o'clock at night occurring when they're, first of all, it's not published on the website, and any arrivals that are landings and departures from that airport and the terminals has nothing to do with what's hovering over this sky space over here at the OVITT Family Community Library. But it's also relevant to the fake son that Tracy Banks also has published on the website. So you can see the prosecution of a gang stalking fake mother who was demon possessed, who was a violent sex offender, a pedophile, because the fake son every hour of the day is over me at her apartment complex, where the entity is keeping the fake son at OVITT Family Community Library, where Paul Leon at the Ontario City Hall, Michael GERKEN at the Ontario Fire Department, and the gang stalkers of Mike Lorenz's Ontario Police Department are keeping me under surveillance. Tracy Banks is going to federal prison, and so are her co-defendants that have repeatedly kidnapped me in concert with the targeting entity that includes Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks. That's federal prison. All right, this is their own criminal conduct, and you're understanding the bigger picture of the purpose for it in the first place. It's domestic terrorism and psychological torture, but these demons also conspired to murder me in order to steal my money and property, and that's why Jason Isaac Fields was lying on my character. We have no relationship whatsoever. He is in no capacity whatsoever, nor in any relationship with me, in fact. This is criminal conduct where he's associating himself with me through any fake marriage, through any secret conservatorship. He is lying on my character while he's stating that he is in any capacity, having any relationship with me, any contact with me. This demon is one that I am not seeing his face since 2018, and he is a stranger, not a friend. And upon contacting him based on gang stalking, this is a demon that's monitoring, and he is a psychopath that feigns ignorance while he is spiritually attacking, and then engaging in what is delusional conduct as though he's ignorant about who I am, or like nothing is happening. He's a psychopath, and he is gang stalking, and his sexual relationship with Tracy Banks is relevant to that. His sexual relationship with Tracy Banks is how he has the relationship on paper with me. There is no actual relationship between Jason Isaac Fields and myself. He is under no circumstances in any position to legally have any access to my property, nor is he engaging in anything concerning that which belongs to me with any of my knowledge. This is everything that he has committed behind my back while defaming me in court and relying on the criminal activity of the city of Ontario that's kidnapping me, that's monitoring my vagina, that's stalking me from place to place, that's lurking in dark parking lots like license 8TRL142, gang stalking me and engaging in federal stalking with Tracy Banks, with Michael GERKEN in the Ontario Fire Department, with Mike Lorenz in the Ontario Police Department. This is a citywide criminal effort. It's a statewide investment, and what the state of California does, the United States government does in this country. Not only are you under surveillance, which I've proven, the entity that's engaging in surveillance, demons in a demonic environment, monitoring you, sexually violating you as a government, they are doing so while they conspire against your life. And this is relevant to the lies that Jason Isaac Fields has spoken against me. He has no investment actually in any property that belongs to me, and he has lied and targeted me with the intent to try to finagle his way into ownership that is theft of property, all the property that belongs to me. And he's already engaged in theft of my property, and that's why he's subject to federal prison, in addition to what is gang stalking me as somebody whose name I know. Everybody, all the fake friends and fake family members are gang stalking me with the state, and they are there to both criminally defame me and also cover up what they plan to do, which is commit my murder. All right. That's why you're going to federal prison. The government can't do it without the people of the state, and the government needs those quote unquote closest to you in order to control that narrative along with you. It's an ongoing conspiracy to murder, and the gang stalking conduct by the city of Ontario at the OVITT Family Community Library is directly relevant to Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, the gang stalking courts, the gang stalking law enforcement agencies, which exceeds the Ontario Police Department. License 5BHT164. In fact, the Ontario Police Department that are clearly targeting me by flying over my head essentially every day, stalking me on one street where the fake sun is remaining on Euclid Avenue, stalking me by helicopter with regard to what they are triggered by as I speak about things such as sacrifices by demons that fly Southwest Airlines planes. The entity is engaging what is evidence providing what is targeting by the government that Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are together using and abusing. He's abusing his position in government to engage in what is not an investigation. This demon has been targeting me and has been given a time frame, a time limit to engage in gang stalking me to the extent where he's hoping for a breakdown. which would be reflected. I'm supposed to have some emotional breakdown. Understand that this is a demon. He's also engaged in the use of witchcraft, voodoo, death magic, while he's hoping that all the lies, all the defamation, the violations while on his job, the abuse of office that he holds, is not going to be ruined with regard to my continuously doing what I'm doing, which is documenting and proving that the government has been targeting me from the beginning, while simultaneously in the background, sex offenders and psychopaths that are having anal sex with my mother behind my back, when I don't even know that they know each other, are engaged in what is defaming my character in court, having an investment in money and property that belongs to me, planning to steal my intellectual property and profit from that as well. And the entity has been not engaged in an investigation. Like I stated, the Ontario Police Department and the City of Ontario are acting with this level of impunity because the government has permitted them to continuously target me. All right, a timeline. And this is why you're seeing the entity engaging what is obvious stalking. And then they're going to sit in court and claim that it was an investigation, and it is not. The entity is going to federal prison. Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. His sex partner, Tracy Banks, is going to federal prison. Gang stalking police officers that commit kidnapping, they're going to federal prison. And they're doing so by the license of the federal government. That's not engaging in any investigation. They know that Jason Isaac Fields is lying. They know that Tracy Banks has been lying. The entity doesn't want Jason Isaac Fields to go to federal prison, but they want me to be subject to this system so that you can save this demon, this terrorist liberty, while I'm being targeted. This is why they're going to federal prison. L&D WAPNER, Mike LORENZ, Michael GERKEN, with the blessing of the federal government, are still targeting. And this is relevant to the prosecution of the government. The government. Impossible Light, while amplified plane activity. There's no takeoffs at the OVITT Family Community Library. All right, the entity is engaging in stalking, and that's exactly what the Ontario Police Department did. Flew right over the top of my head as I'm speaking to you about sacrifices that gang stalking airlines commit in this country. They're not plane crashes as in accidents, as in unexpected tragedies. They sacrifice people, they murder them. It's government business. Okay, and this is what the entity is doing by gang stalking me. And the entity is trying to protect corrupt government actors like Jason Isaac Fields while trying to sacrifice me still. This is relevant to what Tracy Banks is engaged in as well. And while the entity is violating my rights and and disregarding my evidence and not giving me justice sooner than later, permitting a terrorist like Jason Isaac Fields and the entity to control my property while I'm sleeping outside, and gang stalking psychopaths are molesting my body, monitoring me, and stalking me in bathrooms, and using planes to stalk me throughout the city, you're going to federal prison. The repeated acts of kidnapping is criminal conduct that Jason Isaac Fields is interested in, that the entity relied on to defame my character in secret court hearings regarding undisclosed property that the government never told me about, that Tracy Banks never told me about, and her sexual relationship with Jason Isaac Fields, who she thought gave her an advantage over me while he's abusing his position, and that's how he has some sort of connection to my property. Because I don't talk to this demon. Never talked to him at all. He has no relation, no business engaged in this case. Understand that this is an admission that he is targeting me. He is not a friend. He's literally a stranger. How is he related? Because of the anal sex and sex rituals and the sex coven that he's a part of. That's how. Jason Isaac Fields and I are not friends. All right? The entity is engaging in what is gang stalking. The entity is engaged in what is investing and stealing from me. And the entity is witnessing my wide exposure of it on the internet and is intentionally disregarding that evidence where there is no mystery about who is accountable for it, because this is the government's criminal conduct and they are permitting it to persist. As clearly as you hear amplified plane activity, as clearly as you see the Ontario police stalking every day, like nothing's going to happen, this is the federal government that's permitting terrorists and sex offenders, corrupt actors like Jason Isaac Fields to permit it to go on, to protect the government, to protect sex offenders, pedophiles like Tracy Banks, and sex offenders like Jason Isaac Fields, who's sexually attracted to pedophiles like Tracy Banks, the age of his grandmother, while he's having sex with her, and that's supposed to be some betrayal that breaks my heart. I could not care less about the men that he has sex with, and I could not care less about any oral sex that he engages in with men, nor do I care about him having sex with my mother. But what I am interested in is how he ever found out about property that belongs to me, and I never even had a conversation with him about any of the aforesaid subjects, ever. Especially because I didn't know about it. This is a demon and this is a thief. This is a gang stalking psychopath who is abusing his position in government, and the government's permitting this ongoing system underway. All right, molesting with impossible light activity while the entity stalks out, flying over the venue with commercial planes while they're triggered by the truth that I'm speaking about. Gang stalkers like Jason Isaac Fields are going straight to federal prison. The entity 9RVC667, 7ARR492. The entire venue, which is the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, they are gang stalking as a facilitating venue. They are all engaged in federal stalking together. This is an entity, a population, a city, and the public entity that is gang stalking me. This is bullying by a government and a whole population, and they're all dead people. They sat around inside of a library all day long stalking me and obsessing and hostile based on what I was publishing. These demons are licensed 9MTC261, gang stalking, stalking in the path, aiming light while the entity is stalking me with commercial planes. You're going to see my shadow in front of me. You're going to see two shadows behind me. License 9MTC261 is gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport. Terrorism, and if they're immigrants, you're going to deport them. It is currently, by the way, 9:11 p.m. This is the impunity that I'm talking about, and this is what is a threat to my life, while sex offenders and thieves like Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks think that their sex rituals are going to outweigh the law and that their witchcraft is going to work, and I'm going to have some breakdown. The government is abusing its authority and its power by calling it's not an investigation. The entity is still gang stalking me. That's it. They're still gang stalking. There's an ongoing investigation. There's no secrets here. There's no secrets here. If there's an investigation, then the Ontario Police Department would be acting like they're not targeting me, and they're not, because they're gang stalking. License 70660Y3, the same with the Ontario International Airport. All right, the entity is engaging in what is clear deviation by targeting in the environment, and they're targeting with regard to what it is that I document as well. 7WYG488, this is P.O.C. So let me show you what is now flying over the OVITT Family Community Library, and that's because I have migrated, walked north, and this is hovering. This has nothing to do with the airport as well. This is targeting where I'm at, and this is a chain of demons. These are the gang stalking terrorists that want to be officers of the court. They're demon possessed. They're already dead. They're gang stalking by working at the OVITT Family Community Library. The living dead that are gang stalking in engineer light. Let me show you the engineer light that they're marching in. Pacing. This is impossible light activity, which is not caused by the street lamps, okay? That's gang stalking. That's in sync with the demons that are pacing in planes. That's the same OVITT Family Community Library that committed kidnapping on June 16, 2022 with the same city of Ontario. You're going to federal prison for that. There is no statute of limitations, especially while you're still seeing them gang stalking. The timing with regard to pacing in planes and timing with regard to patrolling, pacing on the in relevant position in the specific environment, they work under the fake sun where it's rising and setting. This is the city of Ontario that is gang stalking with their co-defendant Tracy Banks. The city of Ontario targeting with regard to any city that I'm at. That's how the entity is keeping the fake sun in Monrovia, California, where Monrovia Police, the city of Ontario, is engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct, where the fake sun's remaining over OVITT Family Community Library from sunrise to sunset, and also Courtyard by Marriott at 700 West Huntington in Monrovia, California. That's the specific environment. And those are gang stalking city employees that are targeting as demons, who are also engaging in what is an egregious sex offense. They're stalking all day long with the government that's maintaining a fake sun over this library, and you just witnessed them stalking in concert with the stalking using commercial planes, all right? This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:14 p.m., and this is ongoing terrorism that's underway inside of the library all day long. As you're looking at those demons that are working in the library, they also engage in what is obstruction of justice, and it's all over the internet. And this is, again, the entity that's not engaging in an investigation. This is the unlawful threat to my life that Jason Isaac Fields, this is nothing other than a ghetto thug who's from downtown San Bernardino, who came from nothing, and he steals and engages in sex in order to come up in his life. And he had sex with my mother, and he thought that he was going to be successful in plotting against me with this high school graduate who was hypersexual. And I'm referring to Tracy Banks, my mother. She's a gang stalking mother, and that's why those two got together. And I want to be clear, this is relevant to the criminal conduct that I'm subject to now, while the government is targeting me and doing so with regard to the people of the state. That's what Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields represent. But Jason Isaac Fields is also working for the government. He is no friend of mine. There are no conversations. There have never been any conversations regarding any paperwork, him having any sort of authority over any property belonging to me. He's in no position to represent my interests. As you can clearly see, the body of evidence and my history and my training speaks to the fact that I will represent myself if there's something that I knew that needed to be represented. The entity kept property from me. The entity maintained fake court hearings while gang stalking me the whole time with a bunch of demons. Okay? And this is the entity that is going to be subject to a federal prosecution. 8YGF 540, 9ETT 910. These are the gang stalking City of Ontario employees. Stalking while the entity flies over the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library where the fake sun rises and sets. License 9NZY005, you're witnessing impunity. You're witnessing mental illness psychopaths that engage in the pattern of conduct with no sense of concern whatsoever. That's not innocence. You're witnessing demon-possessed gang stalking, a system that is embedded into society, and you're dealing with the living dead. Those are demons. This is, again, 215 EC Street. The Ontario International Airport is at what is 2500 Airport Drive. And the two terminals where the entity is engaging in what is unpublished flight, and the entity is stalking as I am at the entrance, flying over the 280 North Limit Apartments. As you'll recall, while I'm at the entrance, the entity is never flying over the OVITT Family Community Library. They're flying over the library because I'm in the parking lot, stalking as I am stalking, remaining on this side of my person. As I walk north up the street, the entity is stalking with commercial planes. These are employees of the OVITT Family Community Library. License plate 8LES 597, 8KWS 152. Those are gang stalking employees of the OVITT Family Community Library, and they've been monitoring my vagina all day long. Those are the demons that are stalking while the entity is maintaining helicopter activity, plane activity, and the fake sun over this specific venue. And those are the demons this entity's been engaged in repeatedly kidnapping with the Ontario Police that's routinely gang stalking using helicopters at this venue where the fake sun rises and sets. This is the system of psychological torture and ongoing harassment and terrorism in concert with what is ongoing witchcraft, the psychological warfare aspect that you do not see, while terrorists like Jason Isaac Fields abuse their government position, rely on the criminal conduct of the city of Ontario, the state of California, to then defame me in the courts, seeking to steal property from me. 7HSP 508. This is the evidence that's putting all of these terrorists in federal prison. Jason Isaac Fields has been lying from the beginning. He's nothing other than a common criminal. He's a fraud. He's literally a lowlife. He literally is only working for the federal government because he is somebody whose name I used to know. Oh, you know Erica Spencer, and that'll get you an opportunity where the state is targeting me. That's why. And he's abusing that position, and the government is trying to protect him while I remain subject to gang stalking. I'm going to prosecute for that. I'm going to prosecute the federal agency. I'm going to prosecute, because this is not an investigation. The entity, and I'm documenting on a daily basis a ceaseless, ongoing pattern of conduct where there is no legitimate investigation. It's the same criminal pattern of conduct. And there's no secrets here. It's on the internet. So the entity that's engaging in claiming that there's an investigation, no, there's not. And there's also no airport where you're taking off over here behind the library. This is stalking by the Ontario International Airport. And like I said, you're not coming from 2500 hovering over. And this is the entity that is stalking, veering, flying over in this way, just like they are on Euclid Avenue, just like they are at Economy Inn when they're stalking under the fake sun. And this is what the entity is doing in concert with the demons that are driving out, pacing around me together in Engineer Light. This is P.O.C. All right, this is Engineer Light, the gang of shadows that you hear. That you could see here. This is the pattern of conduct. These are demons. And Tracy Banks is a demon, and so is her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields. They're demons. This is a demonic system. This is what demons do. They sacrifice American citizens. They worship money. They have sex rituals on money. This is the entity that's engaged in pedophilia. Okay? These are pedophiles that are engaging in this particular system, and this is relevant to the federal imprisonment of Jason Isaac Fields, and justice requires it. He is no friend of mine. He's no representative of mine. He's no contact of mine. He is literally a stranger. He was left in the dust like every other third party targeting me. I have not seen his face since 2018. He is only associated now because he's been having sex with my mother. That's it. It is currently 9:19 p.m. This is P.O.C. at the OVITT Family Community Library. All right, I'm documenting the pattern of conduct while the City of Ontario is providing ongoing corroborating evidence about the context behind the ongoing targeting that I'm subject to, and the federal government that is engaging in ongoing monitoring while calling it an investigation, and there is no investigation. There is also no investigation when the entity is engaging in the same exact impunity that's relevant to what the government knows that it has clearance to engage in. And that is also published on the worldwide internet. And the entity is not, the government, the federal government is not going to sit in court and claim that they're investigating something while I'm documenting the exact same criminal activity. And the Ontario Police Department that are monitoring everything, they're also aware that there is a so-called investigation, and they are unperturbed. They are not perturbed whatsoever with regard to gang stalking. Mike LORENZ has full clearance to engage in ongoing terrorism and stalking and monitoring my vagina, while the federal government is engaged in what is terrorism, and they like to call, in the United States, they call criminal activity things that are malicious guise for what is absolutely unlawful. Okay, and it's not an investigation. The government is still gang stalking, delaying, hoping for some last minute satanic result, such as me just dropping dead from some spell that they're engaging in, hoping that I'm just going to have a mental breakdown while they're gang stalking. And that's not going to happen. And the entity's been engaged in targeting me as a matter of documentation since 2018, which my evidence shows I've been documented. The government has been aware of what it is that I'm subject to, has been aware of it, has stolen a lot of money from me as well, has stolen all my property. And the entity is, again, seeking to get away with that. And that's why I remain subject to it. That's why the Ontario police are flying over the top of my... They're not being humble with it at all. They're not being coy with their gang stalking at all. It goes right on the internet, and they know it. And they're not fearful of the federal government witnessing it either. License plate. 9HWC 895. They're stalking an engineer light. This is not traffic. This is surveillance. And the demons of the Ontario International Airport are stalking in planes. That's why they're progressing north, flying over the airport. And then as I catch on video, them rising up in elevation like they're taking off behind the library. That's a stalker. That's not airport arrivals and departures from the airport. It's on video. You'll see it. And as those demons know that they're on video, then they engage in doing a donut. It's equally stalking. There are no arrivals and departures, whether you can see them clearly taking off in elevation behind the library where there's no airport, or whether you see them hovering over the same building. These are delusional psychopaths, and I'm going to prosecute the federal government for the criminal conduct that the state of California is engaging in with the license of the federal government. Demons corrupt federal agents like Jason Isaac Fields, who thought that having anal sex with Tracy Banks, my mother, who has been conspiring against me my whole life in concert with the government, and this demon, Jason Isaac Fields, wanted to get his dib in. Okay? And that's what is relevant with regard to his fake friendship with me, where he's engaged in federal stalking. And the extent of the relationship is talking on the phone. He is literally irrelevant. He is a low-life, he is a fraud. He's a criminal. He's a thug. From downtown San Bernardino, he's a thief. And he's having sex with my mom, and that's his only involvement. Now that got him engaged in what is stealing from me as an entity. License 8SVT352, molestation. All right, so I just want to be clear. He has no business his name shouldn't even be involved. How is he involved in the case? Because he's engaged in targeting me with the state. He's not a friend of mine. There is no phone conversation. Hey, what's up, Jason? That doesn't exist. I have not spoken to him. I moved away and I stopped talking to him in 2018 as well. And he never mentioned, by the way, he was married to my mother. He never mentioned that he had a conservatorship or that we were married to each other. He never mentioned that I have any property that he's interested in taking care of on my behalf, or that he was going to go ahead and look out for my interest about property. None of this happened, nor is he in any position to. He's a pipsqueak. He's a coward. Okay, this homosexual has no interest in anything concerning me. He's engaged in targeting me with the state. And he, like everybody else, had sex with my mother. And that's how he became inclined and aware of what is property that he became invested in stealing from me. And that's the truth. The entity's engaged in this pattern of conduct and is gang stalking me with this level of impunity because the federal government's gang stalking me right along with him. And there are people that's going to federal prison. All right, the government's gang stalking again. You're going to see another video right now. Migrating north as I'm walking up north. This is stalking using commercial planes. All right, this is P.O.C. And these demons are stalking right here. The simultaneous conduct, movement on the ground in engineer light while the demons are stalking and using aircraft. AXYW328, 8YLY879, 5LDK476. Here's my shadow here. Here's my shadow here. And you have demons that engage in sacrificing American citizens, not having accidents and unexpected plane crashes. They sacrifice American citizens. They're gang stalking using commercial planes, is letting you know that Delta Airlines engages in murdering people, sacrificing them. They're demons. They're engaging in demonic activity. There's no airport over here. Neither is the airport engaging in what is just engaging in taking flights and doing donuts. And they're progressively moving north as I'm going north. They're doing it in the specific environment. There's two of my shadows in front of me. That's a stalker. That's P.O.C. Okay? It is currently, by the way, while the entity is stalking using the airport, the Ontario Police Department is gang stalking as well. They participate in it when I'm capturing on podcasts and on video. Their engagement in the demonic elements, but they are gang stalking as an entity right now. And regardless of the federal government gang stalking and the federal government permitting this, they're going to federal prison. They are going to federal prison. So that's what you're also going to witness. The entity engaged in this. The entity refuses to cease this targeting system. The entity tries to protect corrupt terrorists like Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks. The entity persists this ongoing suffering by an American citizen who went to the extent to prove what nobody else has proven, and you're still permitting it to go on because you're trying to corrupt terrorism. You're trying to protect, terrorists and sex offenders, 5LRZ252, in order to accomplish a sacrifice. Where, by the way, the whole world is going to witness the fact that if something, nothing's going to happen to me, but were something to happen to me, then everybody's going to see the evidence. It's already on the internet. And then what? Oh, now you're going to go ahead and go forward with stealing my property when everybody already knows what is happening everyone already knows what's happening. All right, so I just want to be clear. This is an entity that is delusional as engaging in domestic terrorism in the United States on the internet, because that's what the government is doing. And the government is doing it with this impunity and meaning in front of everyone, regardless of being documented, because the federal government is permitting it. License plate 8FGU025. That's a sex offender touching all over my backside, not with headlights. That's engineered light. This sort of violence, this ongoing terrorism, this level of a violation by the government is what is mandating federal prison for Jason Isaac Fields and mandating federal law that he is never permitted in my presence. And it's the same for Tracy Banks, Eric Corey Spencer, Shanita Ramaya McClain, everybody else engaging in what is defaming my character while this government is permitting it to still go on, and I've already proven the case. Okay, which the federal government is not happy about, and they're forced to deal with it. But I want to be clear, this is not an investigation. This is a delay while I'm still subject to the same exact gang stalking. The federal government is not engaged in an investigation. In the United States, public corruption occurs in the following manner. Federal group stalking and monitoring is occurring under the title of what is a federal investigation. They're gang stalking. It is currently 9:27 p.m. They're sex offenders. While they're driving and across the street, they're molesting my body with engineered light. They're stalkers. They're demons. 5THL257. Their headlights are not going to reach across the parking lot to molest my person. These are demons, and they're stalking while I'm documenting, and I'm sitting at 415 South Euclid Avenue while they're stalking at Chevron and ARCO. These are demons who are stalking, and they've been monitoring my vagina all day long. This is an entity. P.O.C. And this is the public corruption. 7RZR241, I believe. This is an entity that's engaged in sexual violence, rampant sexual violence, and Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison for it. Okay, it's P.O.C. It's 9:28 p.m. and Jason Isaac Fields is not the only one going to federal prison. The entity that is permitting whoever hired Jason Isaac Fields, whoever is permitting Jason Isaac Fields, whoever is working with Jason Isaac Fields, you're going to federal prison. Whoever stole my property, hoping that I'm going to drop dead so you don't have to answer for it, you're going to federal prison. It's currently 9:28 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, capturing video of the Ontario International Airport, you're looking at evidence of stalking. They are literally stalking in planes. Like I stated, Southwest Airlines and every other airlines, they engage in sacrificing American citizens. And this is what you are recognizing. This is what you are given evidence of while I am maintaining ongoing chronicles of stalking by a government. Stalking by a government that put a contract essentially out on my life. Tried to murder me in secret. That's the whole purpose of gang stalking. That's the purpose of gang stalking by a whole community. That's the purpose of gang stalking through corrupt government bodies. All right, that's the purpose of gang stalking in the satanic manner that they are. Okay, demonic things such as a fake sun, demonic things such as engineer light, demonic things such as amplified audible activity, unfathomable things such as stalking in a commercial plane. And but for the evidence for you seeing it with the level of evidence that I have, that I've shown the world, you're not going to believe that. Those are demons. It's demonic. And it is designed to maintain secrecy with regard to murdering American citizens. And that's what I'm subject to, and that's why corrupt federal agents are going to federal prison. All right, I want to be clear, mental illness with regard to Tracy Banks and her sex partners, including Jason Isaac Fields, are delusional. All right, they are delusional with regard to thinking that anything other than federal prison is going to be the conclusion of what they have committed. All right, and the entity that's gang stalked with the Ontario police, it originates with the criminal conduct of people like Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields. They're going to federal prison. All right, and it does not change with regard to what an American citizen is entitled to. So if Jason Isaac Fields and anybody else thinks, oh, I'll give you some names and I'll tell you this and I'll tell you that, I maintain a right to press charges for more than that which this entity is given information about. And I'm going to press charges, and Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. I remain subject to this threat to my life. Are you kidding me? Do you think that it matters about names that are supposedly and information supposedly produced? This is a corrupt government. They're corrupt. and I'm still subject to the same exact criminal activity, and you call yourself trying to alleviate any sort of harms that you don't want to be subject to, like this coward doesn't want to go to prison, but he's a homosexual, so he'll feel very comfortable there. The entity's engaging in this pattern of conduct, and I'm still remaining subject to it. There's no investigation here, and it's not going to lessen the circumstances of what is required when you're engaging in this level of targeting, such as abusing your government position, such as targeting me as somebody within the targeted individual's close circle, family circle, social circle, acting with impunity, literally being in the courts and defaming my character, doing so on the venue of the internet, doing so while I am at the same time, I'm putting out evidence, which is essentially stating, I'm here, please help me. And they're at the same time defaming my character, essentially saying, don't listen to her, she's crazy, so that I can wind up dead somewhere. You're going to federal prison. American citizens, this is exactly my purpose in showing you this. There is a standard that the government, again, is already on the wrong side of that standard because they're targeting. But then you're talking about what American citizens have a right to not be subject to. Not only are you not supposed to be doing this, you're also not going to stop an American citizen from enforcing their rights against you doing it. And that's what Jason Isaac feels the entity has engaged in, the federal government and the state government. Anybody permitting it, facilitating it. It's not enough for you to lose your job. In the same way that I lost my liberty, the same way that I've been subject to multiple kidnappings by these same gang stalkers, that's not an investigation. They're sitting up watching a woman being chased down by animals day and night, sleeping outside when I have plenty of money and property. I shouldn't be outside. These demons stole my property, and I'm still in this circumstance because they're delaying justice that I earned on my own, because these incompetent, demon-possessed pedophiles sought to get away with murder even after they were caught red-handed by my evidence. That's why I'm still outside, and that's why the demons are still gang stalking with impunity that the city of Ontario demonstrates. You're going to federal prison. You are going to federal prison. Whatever information that you called yourself providing to the federal government, evidence that they already know because you're corrupt, you are not going to evade justice. You've already engaged in what is prolonging suffering. I'm going to prosecute for that. I'm going to prosecute you for that. Not only that, but you're not going to avoid federal prison. Understand the corrupt government seeks to then abuse what it knows very well are devices and tools and avenues in order to avoid justice for that which they're engaging in. When an American citizen was supposed to end up dead, so you think, oh, I'm going to give some information and I'm going to avoid federal prison. No, you're not. No, you're not. Especially, this is why I'm also still documenting, because you're not avoiding federal prison. That's why I'm still documenting what I'm still subject to. While simultaneously, you're mindful of what the entity has been doing, what I'm suffering at the same time, what I'm documenting versus what they're representing, what it is that they're seeking to accomplish, what they're claiming is happening, and what I'm documenting, showing you what's actually happening. You're going to federal prison. All right, it's currently 9:33 p.m. That's the entity engaging in stalking and doing so. Let me get this license plate, stalking at Starbucks. This is where the Ontario Police engage in criminal summoning. You already know that they're an engineer light. This is the entity that is stalking in the path while I'm at the intersection, license 9ECP526, and I documented gang stalking by the Ontario Police engaging in a traffic stop while they're monitoring. This is an overweight Latino male engineer. Light is on the side of the car. They're engaged in federal stalking with the government, and this level of impunity is why you have freak weirdos, sex offenders, rapists, criminal convicts that are stalking me day and night in the middle of the night, and this level of impunity, which is a threat to a woman. It's a threat to any person, but it's a threat to a woman. That's why I document that, because the government is what is incentivizing it. They're stalking with the state. They're stalking with the state that'll come around and arrest you when you haven't done anything wrong at all. You haven't violated the law. And also, you're not doing anything wrong when you're going to document a freak weirdo that's stalking you in your face. This is the entity that's engaging in that. It's currently 9:34 p.m. That's the entity that's stalking, migrating north. Let me show you another plane, because this is the entity that's migrating from the library. If they were taken off from the, what is the OVITT Family Community Library, you're not going to hear it, you're not going to see it. They're stalking, following where I go. These are the demons that engage in sacrificing American citizens. Okay, you pay for flights on their planes, and they crash into mountains, they crash into bodies of water, they claim that the plane disappears, they can't find anything but the black box. They don't know what happened. They hold hearings about what happened. When the plane flies into the helicopter, that was a sacrifice. They murder people. Those are demons that are stalking by commercial planes. I've walked from the OVITT Family Community Library at 215 EC Street, north up Euclid Avenue, in Engineer Light, where demons are stalking in the middle of the night. And this is also stalking. They're all in Engineer Light. This is surveillance. That's why the fake sun is over this same intersection at 7 in the morning and at 5 o'clock in the evening, like I documented. The entity is engaging what is stalking me using commercial planes, flying to get in alignment with my person and then doing a U-turn. That's what they were doing back there at the parking lot, flying up to where I was at back there and then doing a U-turn. When I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library, they're flying over the roof of that library and then engaging what is flight. They're coming up north as I'm coming up north. That's a psychopath that's obsessed with my vagina and then is hostile as you document. Because of the mental illness of those who are gang stalking on the part of those like Jason Isaac Fields, who thought that a bunch of strangers stalking me was going to cause me to have a mental breakdown in order to substantiate his criminal acts of defaming me in court, that's why he's going to federal prison. That's why. Okay? This is P.O.C. It's 9:36 p.m. This is 506 North Euclid Avenue, where the Ontario International Airport is stalking, going north up the street as I'm going north up the street. This is P.O.C. Already capturing video evidence and capturing this fat Latino male stalking in the middle of the night, and then sex offenders and psychopaths are infuriated while you document them. And that's just relevant for the prosecution of that government, okay? So you have the entity that engages in that same pattern of conduct and is doing so with regard to the entity that acts as one. So this demon that I'm documenting is engaging in the same P.O.C, and then you have another demon that's doing the exact same thing. Surveillance at the Unicare Community Health Center, all right? And that is the entity that's engaging in what is the pattern of conduct. This is how, that's the significance of having a population stalking you, all right? This is the entity that's engaging in what is obsession with me. This is what Tracy Banks summoned on me. This is what Jason Isaac Fields summoned on me. These demons that think that there's some sort, they're not. None of them are intelligent independently nor in combination. They are only creative sexually. Okay? And they literally have maggots with regard to their genitalia. They're disgusting creatures. They're demons. They're the cockroaches of humanity. And that's not being hyperbolic, and that's not me just speaking out of anger. They are disgusting, vile human beings. They commit murder in order to profit. They care not about other people. They are engaging what is targeting someone that has done nothing to them whatsoever. This is a gang-stalking mother having sex behind her daughter's back with people that acted like they were my friend. That's what Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks represent. And they thought that they were going to steal my money. And I'm prosecuting the state, and by prosecuting the state, you're understanding the greater context behind targeting me that Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields have engaged in and conspired against me. They're both psychopaths, and they're both subject to federal prison. So I want to make sure that that's abundantly clear, because the Ontario International Airport, the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario Fire Department, the entity that is gang stalking, I'm documenting gang stalkers. You've seen the specific environment. They're gang stalking me at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles. They're gang stalking me when I moved from there, and I am at this time of year, I've gone from Alvarado. I was forced to resign from my job in the same way that I was forced to move out of my apartment because this government has been gang stalking me, terrorizing me, and engaging in ongoing psychological torture, threatening my safety, and in protecting myself and documenting it, moving away and being forced to do that. The entity license 9RZK947, 9PSS957, gang stalking at the intersection, a bunch of sex offenders, 7XEK021. These are pedophiles. This is an entity full of pedophiles. License 7ZIG712, 9GTL907, 5NPN210, 9BBT489, license plate 8JJR593. These are pedophiles. They practice pedophilia with regard to this demonic system. And those are pedophiles that are flying airplanes, stalking me, going up the street. And this is, again, companies that are facilitating and enabling and supporting pedophilia. These are demons that are relying on pedophilia with regard to their spiritually perverted practices, which is relevant to gang stalking. All right, the entities engaged in this, and I want to be clear. This is the entity that's focused on what it is that I am documenting, and at the same time delaying justice. Let me get this pedophile's license plate. License plate 9ANP224. This is a female. She's a sex offender. She's obsessed with my vagina. She presents probably as a heterosexual woman, but she's a sex offender obsessed with touching me, and she's stalking me in the middle of the night like a gay woman. And I don't welcome attention, sexual attention from women. This is also engaging in what is facilitating gang stalking and the system of pedophilia that the city of Ontario, the state of California is engaged in, that is gang stalking. All right, and she's a psychopath that's listening to me describe her while she is molesting me with impossible light as a demon. And that's the truth about what's wrong with her. It is currently licensed 7WFC498, license plate 9MRL457, license, these are all pedophiles, license plate 9SNU502, license plate 9PFF805, license plate. They just don't want you to know that they're pedophiles. 9HXK298, but they have no problem encouraging pedophilia, enabling pedophilia, gang stalking with pedophiles. They are pedophiles because they haven't stuck their penis in particular inside of a child, you're not a pedophile, but you're engaging in gang stalking with pedophiles. You're engaging in the gang stalking system with those that are trafficking children. You're engaging in gang stalking and monitoring those that are soliciting sex with their children. And you're engaging in that, and you do so because you were paid money, and you think that you're not a pedophile? Okay, you're just as guilty. This is an entity of pedophiles. And they're hostile while I document and let you know about that. But yet they're engaging in that. That's the entity that's flying over the top of my head by helicopter when I let you know that they're sacrificing American citizens when you paid to take a flight to a destination. And you don't know that that's the last flight that you're going to take. That's the entity that flies over my head, engages in ambush conduct, stalking me with commercial planes and following me up the street because they're hostile about all the evidence that I published on the internet today about gang stalking that's been underway, and specifically in 2022. Okay, the entities engaged in this pattern of conduct, and this is the entity of psychopaths that are targeting because they want money that they're not going to get. And since they engaged in targeting me, and I went to the extent having to prove it myself because the federal government itself is interested in my demise as well, this is why you're going to federal prison. And this is understanding in the same way that I have given the evidence to prosecute, to prove it, I had to prove it myself because the entirety of the government is corrupt. The entity is engaging in what is, you're also going to realize what is justice that's going to be provided to me. And you are not going to trump what justice requires because I'm going to speak to what justice requires since you didn't do your job in trying to kill me. And since I'm not killed, I'm alive, and I'm here to testify about it, you are going to federal prison. It is currently 9:42 p.m. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and this is relevant to the threat that an American citizen has a right to not be subject to. You have a right to not be subject to. You have a right to not be harassed by sex offenders and pedophiles who want to stalk you in the middle of the night. You have a right to not be harassed and gang stalked by corrupt demons who are using helicopters to follow you around day and night. You have a right to not be surrounded by a bunch of demon-possessed psychopaths who engage in stalking you and aiming light on you. They're literally deranged, maniacal psychopaths. You have a right to not be subject to that while they're keeping you under surveillance, keeping your genitalia under surveillance, and having sex with kids and selling the footage of it on the internet. Okay, praying to Satan as they're engaging in such sex acts. All right, license plate 8VNT279, license plate 30521M3. This is the same entity of pedophiles that put me on the dark web, watching, obsessing over my vagina. I am not exaggerating. When these sex offenders are stalking me in commercial planes and helicopters, they are watching me on the dark web, placing cameras in my home where I was forced to move from, watching me undress in my home while they're stalking me day and night, gang stalking me. These are the same demons that I am not being hyperbolic when I say you have those that are homosexual, engaging in homosexual conduct, but they present as heterosexual women. And they're engaging what is watching my genitalia, watching me undress, stalking me, watching me on the dark web. We're a bunch of homosexual people and a bunch of predators, gang stalking men who are sex offenders. The same demons, gang stalkers all together, and they're pedophiles that engage in voyeurism, placing cameras unbeknownst to me inside of my home. Demons, sex offenders, predators like Jason Isaac Fields, watching me on the internet, charging money for it. Doing so, making money off of my nudity on the internet unbeknownst to me while I'm documenting gang stalking at the same time. So these demons are sexually aroused by targeting and psychologically torturing someone while they're also watching them live their life and be nude, cook food, go to sleep, play Scrabble on my phone. These are psychopaths who are obsessed, and they are violent sex offenders, and that's exactly what is Jason Isaac Fields as well. He's going to federal prison, and there is no amount of information that you're given to the federal government that's going to cause me to deny myself what is the rights that I know that I have, because gang stalking has never been prosecuted before, and you are not going to avoid federal prison. I don't care what information you think you gave, you're not avoiding that. Remember, I'm supposed to be dead, and the sacrifice, the exchanges, you're going to federal prison. You are going to federal prison. It is currently 9:44 p.m. and the fact that I'm outside, the fact that the entity still has property that belongs to me, sitting on money that belongs to me, looking at all the evidence that I've had for years and is still sitting around permitting it, meaning you're gang stalking, you're not investigating. You're not investigating. You know what these demons are doing in these courts. You're watching them creep in the sky space and then rise over the ARCO gas station. The federal government is not investigating. The federal government is gang stalking American citizens. And the evidence of the P.O.C. is the direct evidence of that. The federal government is forced to address what it is that I have proven through a body of evidence. And I'm going to prosecute the federal government for the ongoing impunity, the ongoing threat to my life, while I've already proven a bunch of sex offenders, a bunch of psychopaths that tried to secretly murder me. in order to profit and steal my property. I'm going to prosecute for that. All right, it is currently 9:45 p.m. This is terrorism that is underway upon my exit of the OVITT Family Community Library, where there are a bunch of gang stalking demons like you saw on video, pacing out. Those are demons that are walking in the library, and you know that they're walking in an engineered environment, multiple shadows in that library, just like is on the street outside in the parking lot. But I'm standing inside of a building under what is artificial light, and it's the same exact light activity. While they keep a fake sun, those are demons, and they engaged in kidnapping. And I want to be clear, Daisy and everybody else that you see on video on June 16, 2022, I will be getting to June. I'm in January 2022 in order to publish it on the video on the internet of YouTube, but it is already published on my website at thisisthepoc.wordpress.com. And you will see the entity that's engaging with its gang stalking, because I documented that day while they were lying about why they called the police in the first place, which is a federal offense while the entity is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, committed with the intent to obstruct justice, and you're going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison. The one that is engaging in what is proven the case is the one that's dictating justice. And it's not the federal government. The federal government did not do its job. In fact, the federal government is the criminal. All right, it is currently 9:40. All right, Ontario International Airport at 9:47 p.m. All right, these are flights. Again, they're not published on the website. The Ontario International Airport is gang stalking and is literally chasing me down in planes. This is psychopathic. These are the demons that sacrifice American citizens. License 9THN224. And let me show you what is stalking in the path. I am in the parking lot of the Starbucks. The entity is engaging in the same thing that they were doing south of this location at the OVITT Family Community Library. I am standing in what is engineered light as well. Two of my shadows in front of me. That's the combination of the elements of monitoring, light activity, relevant positioning, and amplified audible activity, while psychopaths are chasing me down the street using commercial planes. License 9THN224 is a part of that psychopathic pattern of conduct. And so is license plate 9APY925. This is gang stalking that's underway by Starbucks, and they're monitoring right now. And I want to be clear, their criminal conduct did not end. Their criminal conduct did not end with the kidnapping that they committed with L. Edwards on July 4th, 2025. In fact, they're still targeting right now. And that's also why you're going to federal prison. You engage in kidnapping with a gang stalking police department, you go to federal prison. And by the way, that's where they belong, because they're still gang stalking now. Starbucks has not refrained from targeting me. Starbucks is still gang stalking now, while you hear their co-defendants stalking with amplified noise and stalking in engineered light and stalking with the airport that's maintaining plane activity. And they are diligently, as demons, pacing all around monitoring. While we are physically apart, they are monitoring. They're doing so while they are selling coffee, which they are simultaneously engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring. That's the federal RICO case. And I'm also going to prosecute personally those sex offenders that engaged in kidnapping with the same government. Okay? It is currently 9:48 p.m. It is so precise. I just want to be clear. Since the day that I left and you saw Ocean engage in criminal summoning at Starbucks, Ocean's going to federal prison. And I've captured hundreds of videos since Ocean committed kidnapping with the Ontario police. She's going to federal prison. All right, license plate, molesting together. 8CWA866, and this sex offender is molesting, stalking with the Ontario International Airport, another homosexual, 9LBZ171. All right, obsessed with monitoring, obsessed with touching, a delusional psychopath that's engaged in homosexual conduct, reaching out to touch me. I don't want women touch me. I don't even let anyone touch me. But certainly these are women that are engaged in homosexual patterns, obsessively stalking me, including in bathrooms. Doing so with males that are equally predators, by the way. And then you have what is in the natural systems where you're talking, oh, men should not be preying upon women. These gang stalking homosexual females are predators just as much as the male gender. Just as much as the male gender. Just want to be clear. And they're all engaged in pedophilia. License plate, it's currently 9:50 p.m. And those are demons that are stalking. You'll see images uploaded to the Google Drive. The Ontario International Airport, these are demons that are stalking me. That's how obsessed with me they are. Understand the entities engaging in what is satanic. So when they are serving Satan, engaging in what is obsession, this is how it's the spirit of Satan that causes this obsession. But their obsession is proven through the extreme means of stalking me. Through a population, to make sure that you never get away, to make sure that you're always surrounded, and also through the most expensive means like the City of Ontario shows. Stalking using planes, do you know how much money is involved in that? And that's how obsessed with me the demon-possessed are, okay? That's also a threat to your life. This is, again, a long-term investment that Tracy Banks, a demon, and Alan D. WAPNER, a demon, equally invested in. Okay? The entity is engaged in what is facilitating this corrupt system, and I'm not the first person that the Ontario International Airport has targeted. All right? And that's also shown through the pattern of conduct. All right, but the entity is engaged in this P.O.C. and it's speaking to what is a long existing pattern of a bunch of dead people who do not have any conscience. They're engaging in what is robotic behavior. It is also highly demented and it's sexually perverted. It is psychopathic with regard to the purpose of all of it in every method to psychologically torture. The entity is still doing so in the face of evidence that is exposing all of them, and the entity is doing so with the intent to engage in that same P.O.C. and they are not going to accomplish it, but it's relevant to the unlawful threat that the government poses in the first place. And demons like Jason Isaac Fields, this is not a friend, an ally, any sort of partner. This is somebody that is still invested in my death and my demise, and that's because he's embarrassed about the lies that he has spoken about me. He's ashamed, and he's also a coward. He's scared to go to federal prison. He's going to federal prison. It's currently 9:52 p.m. and he could thank his ignoramus of a co-defendant, the entity that's gang stalking, because this is why he was lying about my character in court. This is how he became invested in property that he shouldn't even know anything about. There's no reason why. How do you even know about it? Oh, because you're having sex with Tracy Banks, who's been gang stalking, targeting me for years. That's how you learned about it. And this is what you're banking on when you're defaming me and trying to call me a criminal. And you're referring to a kidnapping by this gang stalker. This is the entity that's targeting. And the gang stalking by the city of Ontario is putting Jason Isaac Fields in federal prison. All right? This is the entity that's targeting together in a highly unintelligent manner, if I don't say so myself. Highly unintelligent. And this is how the entity is coming around full circle with regard to that return to sender. All right? That witchcraft does not work. Also, the poor acting skills of demons that just don't look at you while they're stalking all the way. They're psychopaths. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct and mental illness rampant, no longer closeted. No longer closeted. 9LGM 743, 9KOL 502, 9KWW 938. These are all demons, and it's going toward the prosecution of predators who are going to federal prison. Jason Isaac Fields. Not only is he going to federal prison, he's going to physically stay apart from me. And if he ever comes into my presence, I'm going to prosecute him. He will be subject to what is an immediate arrest. And that's how serious it is to engage in gang stalking with the government and then be so delusional to think that you can come into that target individual's presence because of whoever you think you are. You're nothing other than a sodomite. You are nothing other than a demon. You're a predator. You're a psychopath. That's what the demon-possessed are. And those that are sitting in government, you'll be removed from those positions. You'll be subject to federal prison. You're nothing, whoever you think that you are. You are not indispensable. First of all, you're not even sophisticated and elite or capable with regard to this criminal system. And third of all, you are not impervious to a prosecution, and you are certainly not above the law. All right, I just want to make sure that that's clear. The entity is stalking. You'll see the images of that. You'll see, and look at Google's map. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and take a screenshot of it because I'm walking out of the OVITT Family Community Library and I'm capturing evidence of stalking. Following from place to place, I'm giving you what is a picture, a snapshot. It's a Kodak moment because as I'm going from place to place, you'll see the entity stalking using planes. As I'm going north up the street, the planes are going north up the street. And there is no takeoff from the airport at any of these locations where you are clearly targeting by virtue of being there. And takeoffs and arrivals has nothing to do with what I'm documenting. And that's also why it's not published on the website. And it's in conformity to a pattern of conduct. Okay, flying over parking lots of shopping centers in the middle of Fontana, that's also having nothing to do with the airport in Ontario, California. Okay, this is evidence that's published on the internet, and it's speaking to the obsession that the demon-possessed have, and they're also delusional because now it's been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And now you're looking at what is a bare-bones ongoing obsession. Oh, I already lost, but I'm going to keep on going anyway. I'm going to keep on stalking anyway. What exactly are you going to accomplish now, Satan? What's the objective at this point? It's an ongoing obsession with the process in the first place. These are psychopaths. They're obsessed with the process. They've already sacrificed themselves and their well-being, and Christ Jesus is going to deal with that. The deal that they made with Satan, that's going right back to them. There are people that have sacrificed their own lives, and that includes Jason Isaac Fields, practicing dark magic, uttering death upon my name. Christ Jesus was listening to that, and it's not touching me. It is not touching me. It's not affecting me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm prosecuting you. And everyone is listening to me proclaim the fact that you're going to federal prison. Never mind the fact that you're claiming spell work and nobody cares, it's not a defense in court, you're going to federal prison. But you should know that Jason Isaac Fields is a demon. He prays to Satan. He engages in anal sex with men with regard to his being deceived into being made a sexually perverted psychopath who is not gaining any spiritual authority. That's why he's experiencing a return to sender. License plate 88TR711. It is currently 9:56 p.m. This is the entity that is gang stalking and harassing, terrorizing, and psychologically torturing to its own demise. These are sex offenders that are obsessed with me. They're monitoring while molesting me with light at tremendous distances where your headlights, they're sitting in the traffic light right now at East Street. If your headlights were that bright, nobody could see in front of you. But all these demons are engaged in what is the same conduct of molesting miles away from me with impossible light activity. That's how obsessed with me they are, and they're obsessed with my vagina. They're pedophiles that violate children, and they're engaging in this system, and Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are going to federal prison for it. These are the two nincompoops that thought that they were bright by targeting me ever in the first place. And they are the reason why the U.S. government has been exposed. All right, it's currently, again, 9:56 p.m. This is P.O.C.
Ontario Police, as I'm pulling up the Google Maps in order to prove stalking by the Ontario International Airport. That's Title 18 federal stalking, just like they did this morning when I was referring to that is engaging in the satanic system, trying to sacrifice me by gang stalking, and the fact that they also sacrifice American citizens. They sacrifice people through plane crashes where they kill them. It's murder. And this is the same federal stalking that the Ontario Police Department is engaging in while they're monitoring on my device. This is one shadow. This is another shadow here. This has nothing to do with what would be the product of the light activity by light fixtures. Those are demons that are engaging in criminal monitoring, and this is why Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison. Okay, that's P.O.C. The entity is stalking right here with commercial plane. You'll see that in images. And as I pull up Google Maps in order to chronicle stalking in planes following me from place to place, the path that I'm taking north of Euclid Avenue, where there's no arrivals or departures from the terminals, over housing, over Lemon, over the library, nor over Unicare, the entity flies over by helicopter. That's the ongoing, the demons that are gang stalking with the federal government is permitting. And that's why Jason Isaac Fields is going to federal prison, and there are federal agents that are going to federal prison. It is currently 10:17 p.m. This is P.O.C. First of all, monitoring on the device. This is Title 18 federal stalking. They're pacing, just like with the airport. The demons follow with the airplanes. The demons on the ground, stalking in the space. Doing so as I take a screenshot of what you will pay attention to. I'm going to upload it to the Google Drive. It is evidence of stalking using planes, following from place to place, doing so in the specific environment as well. This is what the Ontario International Airport is documented engaging in for years, and I'm going to give you a snippet of it. You will look at a Google Maps screenshot of the OVITT Family Community Library, the original destination, as I walk down Lemon Avenue, which is walking north on Lemon Avenue. The Ontario International Airport is documented stalking, flying in the direction west, migrating north as I migrate north. And as I take a screenshot on this phone that the Ontario Police are keeping under surveillance in the specific environment in concert with the demons who are known to be stalking with light. That's a stalker at Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue. Chevron is going to be federally prosecuted for gang stalking. The demon possessor are doing so in the specific environment because this is all traffic. And you already know that this is where it keeps the fake sun from sunrise until sunset. This is indeed the P.O.C. and the entity is stalking with airplanes. And as I document the city of Ontario, the demons who are the Ontario Police who are being disbanded, they're being disbanded for gang stalking me with the license of the federal government that's sitting around watching and hoping that I drop dead. And I'm going to prosecute the federal government for the ongoing criminal acts of gang stalking with the intent to obstruct justice, because they're not conducting an investigation while the Ontario Police are gang stalking like nobody's watching and like nothing's going to happen. They're going to be disbanded, and Jason Isaac Fields and every other federal agent that's gang stalking me, that put their money on my property, living in any property that belongs to me, profiting from any intellectual property stolen from me where I'm publishing it in order to protect myself from sex offenders and stalkers like the Ontario Police and the people of the state, you're going to federal prison. It's currently 10:23 p.m. I will upload that screenshot, take a good gander at it, because the demon possessed are very scared of it.
Okay, the fear of the demon possessor or psychopaths is what needs to inform the rest of this country. Psychopaths inflict more harm, they engage in more acts of violence, and they do so regardless of the consequences, even as they see them approaching, and they will do so until they are restrained. It is currently 10:23 p.m. This is P.O.C.
All right, the entity, just like you can see in the two videos, at 10:16, again at 10:21 p.m. It's 10:39 p.m. The Ontario Police is maintaining helicopter activity. These are demons that are sitting up monitoring, engaging in the act of terrorism and harassment with the people of the state. And on behalf, and let me be clear, Jason Isaac Fields is monitoring me right now. And he is gang stalking me with the Ontario Police, including as I document him. Hostile to me, uploading podcasts that includes criminal conduct that he's engaged in, that he's going to be held responsible for, and gang stalking, targeting me through these demons who are on video at 10:16, 10:21, right now again, flying right over me again while they're monitoring my evidence. That's all they're doing. They're going, flying west over me, flying east over me. I'm uploading the podcast, flying west over me. I'm finishing uploading a video to the YouTube. This is what they're doing. This is relevant to Jason Isaac Fields. He's going to prison. The subject of the documentation is relevant to the threat that the government poses while you're exposing them. This is exactly why this state actor, predator, he's a terrorist. He's an enemy to the United States. You're working for the government. You're engaging in terrorizing an American citizen. You do so because you thought that you're going to profit off of their murder. And then you want to turn around and act like you're conducting an investigation. Now, while I'm showing the gang stalking that's simultaneously remaining underway, he's going to prison, especially while the evidence against him is being published. And I'm subject to ongoing terrorism. It's 10:41 p.m. This is P.O.C. pursuant to federal stalking committed by Jason Isaac Fields. He's the same entity committed by the government with the intent to obstruct justice. P.O.C. All right, monitoring at Starbucks. Still while on the job. That would be license plate 9RBK 860. Vacating the premises, which is a facilitating venue, and Starbucks remains engaged in the pattern of conduct. Remember, Starbucks, the corporation, is being prosecuted as the establishment, and also the demons that they hire gang stalking inside of that establishment. The third parties are leaving the parking lot, monitoring in doing so. Engineer light all over the walls. I documented those demons' license plates. They were gang stalking while the Ontario Police flies over my head. They're gang stalking while the Ontario International Airport is maintaining air traffic over this intersection. They're maintaining ongoing monitoring while the demons of the Ontario International Airport fly over Unicare to stalk me in the path while I'm in the Starbucks parking lot. They're monitoring while the people of the state are molesting with impossible light activity from across the street. They're monitoring while the Ontario Police, which you'll see Hazelwood, threatening me, molesting me with light because that demon is hostile to what was also simultaneously published while he pulls up in front of me, stalking on the roads and the highways, engaging in federal stalking, and you'll see him operating an Ontario Police Department vehicle at the same time that I'm publishing the podcast, which these demons are very hostile to. Starbucks was monitoring then as well. C. Hazelwood is captured, and again, for the third time. C. Hazelwood is going to federal prison for gang stalking me on behalf of and in concert with Jason Isaac Fields, and further into the criminal conspiracy to commit murder as an entity and get away with it. He is doing so while he is a hostile demon with regard to the documentation on podcast. Make sure you take a good listen to it. There's a lot of commentary. This is relevant to analysis and the ongoing conspiracy of this government and the relevant facts and circumstances that this entity is going to leave out while they've engaged in what is targeting me for years, and the relevance of the city of Ontario gang stalking while demons like Jason Isaac Fields are on the record gang stalking me. And this demon has no business under any circumstances even have his name in the mix. And why is he? Because he's a gang stalking psychopath, and he's going to federal prison. He's no buddy of mine. Shanita Ramaya McLean is somebody that I have had conversations with. We hung out while she was gang stalking me. I'm going to prosecute for that. But Jason Isaac Fields, he's been hanging out with Tracy Banks' genitalia. He's been having sex with her. Tracy Banks, that's how he's related to this criminal pattern of conduct, trying to steal property that his sex partner told him about, because we never talked about it. We, in fact, were never that close for me to even tell him any sort of business like that, where I would never give him any property of mine, and I would never put him, an ignoramus, in any position to exercise any sort of ownership or be in any fiduciary relationship concerning any property of mine. And it is entirely absurd. Okay, while this demon is engaging in what is trying to surreptitiously steal my property through gang stalking me, an act of terrorism in the United States. So I just want to be clear, Starbucks was monitoring that entire time. Go ahead and take a listen to the podcast that all the demons are hostile about. Never mind, regardless of how or what it is or my volume level, the demons are monitoring, and I am speaking factual information. And the entity is engaging in what is monitoring throughout the entirety of documentation of criminal conduct by the government. And I just want to be clear, the entity is very much lacking in appreciation of how severely the federal crime of obstruction of justice is going to be prosecuted. The government is engaged in ongoing criminal monitoring while they are being documented, meaning engaging in terrorism, like as though Osama bin Laden is going to commit a threat against the United States government, and engaging in ongoing commission of that threat, reiterating that threat, engaging in ongoing acts of terrorism against this country, and the federal government is just going to lay back and just permit that to occur. Okay, this is the entity that is not appreciating its identity based on its criminal conduct. This is the criminal acts of domestic terrorists. This is speaking to what is a domestic enemy. And the entity is engaging in that, it's failing to appreciate how severely this is going to be prosecuted. So I just want to be clear, this is on behalf of advocating on behalf of American citizens who have a right to not be targeted by their own government. We are not out in the jungle. This is the United States of America. Now, the entity is engaging in this conduct, and I've been documenting criminal conduct the entire time I've been documenting the government. And the government is acting like an imbecile that doesn't have any consequences that are coming. Okay? And that's also relevant to people that are going to federal prison because of the federal government's ongoing facilitation, because of the federal government's corruption. And you are speaking that does not provide Ontario Police Department or Los Angeles Police Department or the Fontana Police Department or the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department or the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department any type of excuse or defense. They know what the Constitution is, whether they can spell it or not, whether they've read it or not. You have taken an oath, and you are obligated with regard to that oath that you've taken and the position that you hold and the threat that you represent when you are engaging in violating, as a means of the operation of a whole system, violating the constitutional and human rights of American citizens whom you want to gang stalk because some demon thinks that they can conspire against an American citizen. When you endeavor to conspire against an American citizen by gang stalking them, you become an enemy of the United States. The entity is going to be prosecuted for the ongoing system that is obstruction of justice. And I've been documenting hundreds of videos. I think we're at 160 now since June 3rd, 2025, the last time that this entity committed kidnapping. C. Hazelwood committed attempted kidnapping, so that would be within the videos that I'm documenting. Actually engaging in the criminal act of seizing my person and taking me to another place without my consent while you're engaging in surveillance. That act, that full commission of that federal offense of kidnapping by an entity, the entity last committed that on June 3rd, 2025. Where I was released. And as of June 3rd, you're talking about 160 videos. Tonight, you're at about 161 videos of the entity engaging in what is ongoing criminal acts of obstruction of justice by domestic terrorists who pose a threat to this country, both while they incentivize terrorism by the people of the state, American citizens, and the immigrant population. They're American citizens. You're supposed to be a part of the country. You're supposed to absorb yourself into American culture, and it is not by gang stalking. It is entirely un-American. Okay, but outside of being a domestic terrorist, you are one of us. You are not one of us when you're gang stalking, and that's why you're going to be deported if that's the case. The entities engaged in this pattern of conduct and obstruction of justice is going to be very severely treated. The federal government and the state government have shown itself to be a domestic terrorist and is not going to be treated any differently than a terrorist such as Osama bin Laden. I want to be clear, the Constitution doesn't make any sort of exception to that. I believe, I quote, both foreign and domestic enemies, foreign and domestic. These demons are showing themselves to be those that are totally hostile to the notion of constitutional rights, and that's not forgotten, and it will not be forgotten. All right, it is currently 11:52 p.m. Listen to the podcast that is documented today. The entity is exceedingly hostile to it, and it provides insight regarding the incentive, regarding the corruption, regarding the obstruction of justice by Jason Isaac Fields, the federal government. And the ongoing federal imprisonment. Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. This is documentation and evidence to make sure that everybody targeting me with her, conspiring against my life with her, conspiring to steal from me, and that will be accomplished through my murder with her, they're going to federal prison as well. Okay, that's what this is about. Tracy Banks' case, I've been exposing Tracy Banks for years. It's the criminal case against the state started with this state actor, Tracy Banks. It started with her. She's going to prison. This is making sure that justice includes that everybody else that belongs in that type of facility, that's exactly where you're going. That's exactly where you're going. It is currently 11:53 p.m. This is P.O.C. License plate EF06K18. That's a paper plate on a Jeep. 11:55 p.m.